Yeah, yeah. So it goes through the same stuff. Sorry, I had to start the recording again. It only records 4 hours. But here, let me go back to it. So Enoch, so 92, it's gonna say the same thing. It doesn't have any like subheadings or anything. It doesn't say like the weeks or whatever you were saying it was saying there. I don't see that here. Let's see, or is it 93?
Okay,
Or
maybe that was just the God culture, like just Lee said, commentary of like what the next chapter was going to be talking about. And so he just
yeah,
described it as apocalypse of weeks. I kind of take it as like ages again, especially since it seems like there's about 1,000 years in between
yeah,
each major breakdown that he's giving in
yeah.
time.
No, I agree. It's not like a week, meaning 7 days, or a week of years. I think it's more of like 1,000 year or a different kind of time, like a longer period of time. Because yeah, it says verse 3 of 93 says, uh, and Hanok began to recount from the books and said, I was born the seventh in the first week. And then after me, there shall arise in the second week great wickedness. And then after that in the third week, and after that in the fourth week, after that in the fifth week, after that in the sixth week, and after that in the seventh week. And it says, at its close shall be elected the elect righteous of the eternal plant of righteousness.
So you don't
So I
have
think,
anything before or after that about an eighth week through a 10?
no, I'm not, I don't see that.
Weird. I wonder. Huh.
Yeah, because I went to 94 here. I don't see it. Back to 93, 92, it's not there. 91, it's not there. That's in the Yahuwah and the Torah version.
I'm sorry. What?
That was in a Yah Scriptures
That was in
version.
Yah scripture. Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, because this is translated, or it says adapted from the 1912 R.H. Charles original translation from the Ethiopic text. So, I mean, it's R.H. Charles. I just really confused about this 91.12 through 17 that is just added here for, and I just don't understand like why. And then he said it wasn't a part of the Enoch's 7 weeks, but yet, yeah,
Interesting.
yeah, I don't know what to make of this. I wonder if anybody else maybe has. Um, Jermaine said Enoch chapter 91 through 93.
I
Yeah,
think Jermaine broke
kind
it.
of 91.
Can you email the God culture and maybe send them an email or something and ask them a question for an explanation?
Like to see if this was like added.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tim Schwab on Facebook is his name, but he has me blocked. I do it, but he blocked me. So Tim,
Okay.
TIMSHAW, you know. Schwab, whatever, however that's spelled.
All right, yeah, maybe I'll ask him because like in his bracket he has 91.12 through 17, which is again, I just feel like it's really odd. And it just kind of this little part right here just kind of comes out of nowhere. And it says that it's talking about the last 3 weeks of tribulation. And yet this almost kind of sounds like millennial reign, maybe Satan's little season kind of talk.
Yeah, that's
Yeah. I
yeah.
mean,
Seems like it.
yeah. So, yeah. Because it seems like it maybe needs to be added after Enoch's 7 weeks.
Interesting. Just more evidence of tampering with the Book of Enoch.
Yeah, maybe. Because it says after that in the 7th week shall an apostate generation arise, and many shall be its deeds, and all its deeds shall be apostate, and at its close shall be elected the elect righteous of the eternal plant of righteousness, to receive sevenfold instructions concerning all of his creation. And, that's where it stops with the, quote unquote apocalypse of weeks, but yet, we know that's not the end. And so it literally feels like it's picking back up here at the 91.1217, where it says, and after that there shall be another, an 8th week, that of righteousness. When I again, when we look at like the depiction of like the 8th day, right? It was a day of renewal, but also cleansing. So, during the millennial reign, yeah, the land was resting, but it was also a renewal and a cleansing also that was going on. Because, right, that those that even pierced him saw him in the clouds, and the sword was given to the righteous to go against the oppressors.
Yeah, Jermaine shared what she's got, and it's saying what you said as well as that apocalypse of weeks.
Yeah, I'm reading it. Uh,
Yeah, I'm not one that believes in the little season that's going on right now. I do think there's 1,000 years where he does rule. Um, I think everybody's got to understand and come to a true understanding of truth, full understanding of truth. It's kind of like the angels. They don't have repentance anymore because they fully knew the truth. And that's where, you know, you're not going to have a chance again. Once you fully understand and come to the full knowledge of the truth, which it might take that long to really understand stuff. And I just think he's just and judges correctly. Once you fully come to the knowledge of the truth, then there's no sacrifice anymore. I mean, you're done. It's kind of like the angels rebelling when they knew. I think it's going to be like that, but that's how I see it.
you mean like time is just going to be continuing until every single person comes to either the truth or not?
Well, I mean, some are going to reject it fully before we even get to that point. But those that are really wanting to understand, but we just haven't come to the full understanding, maybe he's loosed after that to test them, because he caused all the other angels to fall when they knew the truth and deceive them, and they knew the truth. That's how I see it. I think you
He
have a
has to cut
1,000 years.
he has to cut time short, or else no flesh would be saved.
I understand.
Interesting. So your book doesn't even have a chapter 93 or 92. It just goes to 93. Interesting. Jermaine.
Yeah, Jermaine, what translation do you have?
Yeah, because in Yah's scripture, chapter 92 of Enoch, it's here. Let me go to it again real quick.
And Lee, I kind of get what you're saying. I do. I just kind of like what happened with the flood, though. Because he does say that this generation that I believe that we're in right now is more wicked even than before the flood. And he had to cut time short for them then, because if not, uh, the the righteous people like Noah maybe would have been corrupted as well. He had to bring that on and cut time short then because of the great wickedness when there was only evil continually in their thoughts. And
Yes.
in the
I
time that
agree.
we are in right now, it's getting pretty dark out there.
Neo translation. Yeah, yeah.
I've never heard of that translation.
It's I think it's the I can't think of the name. It's not the Dead Sea Scrolls. Now my keyboard's messing up. I can't go back. Hold on, sorry. Okay, the Hermania. That's the one Victor has as well. Isn't it the I'd have to look into it to to tell you exact, but I do know there's also the Aramaic fragments as well from the Dead Sea Scrolls. Yeah, it's interesting. It doesn't have a chapter 92. Yeah, we can see Enoch has been tampered with in a few places, for sure.
Man, we don't have the last two seasons described. There's also this weird thing. Yeah, I don't mean to cause confusion, and I hope I haven't. I just saw that and I was just like, wow, how odd.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, we found the evidence of Enoch chapter 82 missing because, it's right there in the Dead Sea Scrolls with the fragment. And it talks about, hey, this is after Enoch 82, verse 20. And then we can see it continues on with, the fall and the winter, but it's very fragmented out. So it's really hard to make sense of what it's saying. Yeah, definitely some interesting stuff, for sure. So you don't even have 91, 12 through 17. Interesting.
Okay, can you guys hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, sorry. I had to switch from my tablet to my phone.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
Jermaine,
just
that is interesting. We gotta get to the bottom of this for sure. Because I do know that the God culture does not intentionally, well, at least what I, what I think I know, the God culture wouldn't, he doesn't really like to add stuff either, right? Because he definitely talks about the
yeah, yeah,
Sefer and how the Sefer adds stuff, to fit one person's like feelings or ideology or whatever. So I don't know, for that to be in there like that, it's not really what the God culture kind of prides themselves on is adding
Well,
stuff to the Sabbath.
I spoke to him.
Oh,
I
you
spoke to
did?
him, and oh yeah, Tim. Yeah, I spoke to him direct, and I could send you the entire conversation and how he was. Well, he wrote a book about Saturday being the Sabbath, so he has a lot invested in it. And Eddie Chumney did too. He wrote books, but he also still repented of the Hillel calendar. But yeah, when I talked to Tim, he was pretty
Arrogant?
lethal. Yeah, lethal. Lethal.
Lethal. Okay.
Like you comment me one more time with any of your, you know, stuff. He just was obstinate of hearing. So I mean, does he test everything? He does test a lot, but you could tell when you have an investment sometimes in something like the Saturday Sabbath.
Right. So what did
When you
what did
start,
you think about that weird part?
which weird part?
When it before he goes into the apocalypse of weeks, he talks about an eighth week, a randomly put after chapter uh
Oh, I don't
right
really
before.
understand that yet. I've been in and out, but
Oh, okay.
there's an eighth week.
An eighth, a ninth, and an almost a part of a tenth.
I just saw someone that shared a jubilee period from them. Is that what you're talking about?
No, not really. This
No.
is
Okay.
more. This is more like. This is more like Enoch breaking down the ages from creation to the very last day.
That's what I thought I saw. Yeah. It was a post by uh Jeremy. Did I send you that this morning? Is that the same thing? By
uh,
Lawrence? I think I sent you something like that this morning, and it was by the God Culture, but it was Lawrence something that was doing it.
I think is that the one you recently sent?
No, it was this morning. It was a post.
But he was breaking down jubilees till the very last.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I'll take another look and send it to you.
Okay.
Oh, is it that one with Jubilees? The one he was praying
Yeah,
with
that's what
Jubilee?
yeah.
You didn't share the post, but you shared the pictures.
Well, I wouldn't have saved the pictures. Here, I'll try to do it again. Apparently I can't find it now. Huh. That's interesting. Might be by somebody else. All right, I'll look. But
Okay.
yeah,
Link.
when I hear God culture, I hear, he does do a great job with some things, but when it comes to me dealing with him about the calendar, he just blocked me, put me off. Like I sent him the stuff and I'm like, "Could you test this?" "Oh, we're really busy. We're really busy. We're really busy." I'm like, "Okay, send him more stuff." "Oh, we're really busy." And then
I know he's really invested on the Philippines right now. I think he even lives there now.
yeah, I think he does too. Mm-hmm. I do. It just sucks though because you never know.
She could really get the word out.
Oh, I found it. Yeah. Jeremy, you said yeah. Oh, Fam shared it. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Here, check that out.
Thank you.
Fam Fred. Is that what
Okay.
you're talking about? Real timeline concept.
I'm clicking on it.
And it has like all the dates since creation.
Oh wow,
I could
that's
send it
kind
in
of
the chat.
nice. Oh, that's
Yeah?
kind of nice. Yeah.
Yeah. Here, I'm going to put it in the chat.
Yeah, I was just trying to find where you shared it. I couldn't see. That's why we need that original scroll of the Book of Enoch that was in the Dead Sea Scrolls.
I thought there was a complete scroll of Enoch that they found that didn't have any fragments out of it or
Yeah,
taken out of it.
there was,
Like
but
it.
they auctioned it off.
Mm,
Yeah, quote unquote auctioned it off.
mm,
And that's not the only full scroll that was found in there either. There was one for sure of Enoch, and then a couple more, possibly of some other writings as well. It's not really confirmed what the other ones were, but there was one confirmed Book of Enoch for sure that was fully there, not fragmented at all.
mm. Now well, you said it was auctioned off. Do you know in what translation it was in? Was it in Aramaic? Was it in Hebrew? Was it in
I'm
Greek?
pretty sure it was in the Aramaic because
Okay.
that's the fragments that we have now. I'd have to go and double check again to make sure, but
Okay.
yeah, it was auctioned off like early on. And same thing with the lengths that they go through. They blew up Cave 7 to hide the New Testament fragments and Septuagint fragments. Same thing. They sell off the full scrolls they find to hide the truth. They probably know where it's at. They probably have it, but they're
Think
not
they
going to make
sold
it
them to the
public.
Vatican?
Yeah, that's possible too. Really, it's hard for us to know at this point until it becomes, revealed.
Because I know the Vatican is obsessed with quote unquote holy relics.
Yeah, they got like 5 miles of bookshelves worth of stuff.
52. 52
Yeah,
miles.
52 miles. I don't know why I keep saying five, but
Well,
that's a
5 is
whole
still
lot.
a significant amount, but 52 is like you can't even comprehend that much at one place, and
Yeah, no.
it's crazy.
To
Especially
even
since they
drive,
even
like,
admit, yeah, I know, and they even admit that they've got scrolls uh, within that are straight from the Library of Alexandria,
yeah,
which
exactly.
was apparently what destroyed in a fire in like 1100, something like that.
Yeah, the fire narrative, as usual. Yeah, that's the thing. They always have some kind of fire narrative where, all this stuff was destroyed, information was lost. But was it really? And do
Right.
we,
Well, and you have to think, they're no strangers to fire, right? Like these aren't cavemen that just discovered fire. So they would have known how to fireproof things, right? Like they know how to contain fire. They know what
I
sets
mean,
fire off. They know what feeds a fire. Like you really think
yeah,
all these happened by accident?
last, yeah, last time I checked, yeah, you can't really set a brick wall on fire.
No, it's what holds the fire. That's why we have fireplaces.
Exactly. So for a city made of literal brick and stone to quote unquote burn down to ashes, I don't buy it. I really don't buy it.
No, I don't either.
So yeah, there's probably a lot of stuff that they know about that's hidden that they're not gonna let any of us know about. At least not anytime soon.
That's okay.
Unless, yeah.
That's okay.
And that's the beauty of it all because it makes us dig deeper and search into these things deeper and see what's going on.
For the things that truly matter, and I take comfort in the fact that Yah is going to, he says everything that is hidden is going to be revealed, and it will be revealed. We just have to be patient, and I also take comfort in the fact that I'm glad that he didn't show me everything he showed me all at once, because I was already shocked just by with the little bit that he woke me up with. And what I know now, I would not have been able to handle even a year ago.
Yeah, I know, right?
So we think we want to know it all, but truly, he knows the season when everything is ready to have things be revealed.
Yeah, absolutely. All on his timing.
But thank you, Jermaine, for sending your translation. I'm gonna be looking at those when I'm not making dinner for my family in more in depth, and maybe I'll send you pictures, Jeremy, of what mine reads, and I don't know, maybe you can, if you have the time, maybe you'd want to try to see if there's anything in the Dead Sea Scrolls that say the exact same thing. I don't know, it's just a thought.
Yeah, send him. I'll check it out for sure. It's hard to really come through all of the Dead Sea Scrolls to see, but for the most part, I can do like a word search and it'll show like a lot of what's in there. But like I said, I think we might have to just go through them all, really just read them all one day, maybe online. Just kind of break everything down as
I'm
we read it.
down. I'm down for that.
It's what I started to do already on my channel, but it was just me reading through them, and I really didn't know a whole lot. Definitely not what I know now about them. So reading back through them, it would just help a lot, and we can pinpoint like these little things that we find here and there and
Have
see.
different perspectives too, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, exactly,
Four
exactly.
hands are better than two.
Yeah, precisely. And yeah, we can even like read one version and then someone else can have like another version open and then we can test like all the versions that we have, test them together and see what each one say. Because just doing that by myself, I already see the differences, especially between the complete Dead Sea Scrolls and others. Like there's a lot of authors' insertions in the complete Dead Sea Scrolls.
And you're always able to tell when those author insertions are there because they're bracketed, right?
Yeah, so the brackets are insertions from other scrolls, and the quotations will be like authors' insertions. So what they'll do is if a scroll is really, fragmented out, they'll take something from another scroll and put it in there to try and make it make sense. But while doing that, such as, in 4Q394, they're trying to add what's not really there. So if we take out those brackets, what we're going to see there is after that Sabbath, a day is added. But what they do is put in brackets there. They say, oh, well, this day, and this day, and then after that is added. So we can tell that's not legit. That's not what the original scroll says. And the fragmented out part is like a single word. It's not a whole sentence of words. So that's a big clue as well. So just little
Um,
things like that, kind of like how after Peter's dream, a lot of Bibles will have in parentheses, oh look, all animals have been made clean. Well, that's clearly an author's intention. Yeah,
gotcha. Yeah.
it's like the same thing exactly.
They try, don't they? They try hard.
That they do. Yeah, that's a pretty good verse there, Timothy. Amos 9:13 through 15. But yeah. So that's basically how the Dead Sea Scrolls work. So you can tell by the bracket or parentheses what's inserted or added. And some of the brackets, it's just completing something to make it make sense. Others, like they insert them in there probably to hide the fact of things, like, 4Q394. They're trying to hide the fact that there's a divider day. So they insert all this other nonsense in there. But then when you take out the brackets, it's clear as day what it says. So I think it might be good to go through and read the Dead Sea Scrolls just a little bit at a time, here and there.
Yeah, like I was saying earlier, and I don't mind, repeating this because I don't want people to think I'm trying to shove anything, my opinion or anything, but I am under the opinion that we could possibly be in Satan's little season. It's okay if others don't agree to that. And that's why I'm trying to compile some scriptures from Revelation, Second Esdras, and then if it doesn't fit, right, we are called to rightly divide truth, and we are called to read line upon line, precept upon precept, here a little, there a little, and so that's what I'm gonna try to do. And if it turns out that it's wrong, then I'm happy to say, okay, it didn't add up, and Scripture proves otherwise, and so that's kind of like what I'm trying to do, because I definitely believe that there are things that in this walk people take and run with, and there's no scriptural foundation for it. So I am a true, firm believer that Scripture is our foundation, and if it's not there in Scripture, then we've got no foundation. So I'm just letting everybody know that I'm not doing this just because I want to go on some crazy train. I want to know if there's something there. So that's all I'm trying to do, is compile up Scripture and see what fits and what doesn't.
Yeah, exactly. And, we could see substantial evidence that we very may well be in that little season. But, then again, if we're not, we still all have that same goal.
Same goal,
Is,
hallelujah, we'll be in the millennial reign, hopefully.
yeah, yeah, and the new kingdom altogether, heaven and earth remade, all of these things. We still all have that same goal, whether post or pre, really. And every time, every time I think about it, it's just, no man knows the day or the hour always comes to my head. So I don't think it's like a point of contention or something people should get upset about. Because I get why some people don't want to look into it and they don't believe it. And it's like what we talked about before, is there's too much of a new age spin put on it a lot of times by people. So it'll cause a lot of confusion. So you need like a solid foundation in the scriptures
Yes. And
to
I'm not
realize,
a preterist.
yeah,
Preterism is
exactly.
not it. Yeah.
Yeah, preterism, that they literally think all of scriptures is just allegorical. Like everything's allegorical. So that's not the view that any of us have here for sure. Like we don't take scriptures as allegory. Like scriptures is truth. It's his word. And not only that, we don't see Moses taking scripture as allegory. We don't see anybody in scriptures taking scriptures as allegory. We see Messiah giving parables, but that's not taking scriptures as allegory. That's putting it in parables because it's a matter of kings to search a matter out. That's why he says that. So when we search out what he's saying, then we will understand. Like this is why the road is narrow. If it was wide, everybody would be on it. It would be super easy and everybody could just do it. But it's not. It's a narrow, it's a difficult path because we're fighting against the enemy. So yeah. Yeah, there's definitely a lot of stuff about our history that they lie about. They lie about where we are on our plane of existence here. They lie about so many things, but yeah, got to search the truth of the matter out. It all fits with scripture, 100%.
Can I ask how you guys came to the conclusion of Sunday being your Shabbat with the calendar?
So Sunday is not always our Sabbath. We actually kind of went over that earlier in our presentation. So when we search up the history of Saturday, Saturn's Day, where it came from, at the time of Messiah, it was day one of an 8-day Roman week.
Sorry, you just said that Saturday and Shabbat. Shabbat doesn't mean Saturday. It means rest. It means the seventh day.
Yeah. So Saturn's Day is not with it's not the held Sabbath day of Yahuwah held by Rome and the Synagogue of Hasatan.
That's correct. It's not the seventh day. It's definitely
So
been hidden. But why? How did you guys come up with the Sunday
so
as a
let me
Shabbat?
if I can answer that, yes. So it is not always on a Sunday, it is not always on a Saturday. It is going to be literally every single day of the week as we move through the years. Because each year we're going to have a divider day, day 0. Because we are going off the markers that we have in the heavens from Yahuwah himself, which is
Yeah,
the Tekufa, the equinox. So that straight line shadow is always going to mark day 4, no matter what.
that's
No matter
correct.
what.
It's gonna stay on day 4 forever.
Yep.
So I'll ask my question again. How do you come up with Sunday being the Shabbat day if the equinox doesn't move and we know that that's day 4 and your calculation starts? How are you coming up with Sunday?
So if you would allow me to finish. So like I was explaining, we have a divider day each year that's going to divide the weekly cycle for that next year coming up.
What's the
Last
divided
year,
day?
so last year, or it was Saturday was the Sabbath. This year's Sunday. Next year is going to be Monday.
Where does Scripture talk about a divided day?
So if we go back to the beginning of my presentation here and all of the other presentations, we walk it through scriptures and the Dead Sea Scrolls. So Genesis 1, verses 1 through 2. There is a void of darkness.
Yeah, so I know
Everything was
this.
formless and void. There is a time before the counting of days. The counting of days starts when the light was created there. So in scriptures, we see a void of time right before day one. So from vernal equinox to vernal equinox is always 365 days.
Why? But why does it say 654 or 64 days?
So 364 days is our calendar. So we have a divider day, day 0, that's going to divide each yearly cycle. So we have creation week coming at the beginning of the year with that divider day just before it, which is accounting for that time of void and darkness before the light came to be.
I don't think we're supposed to be doing that. I don't
Well,
think this.
I believe we can because we walk it all through scripture, sister.
I don't think we're supposed to be counting those days at all as divided days, because it
They're,
says
they're
not.
not, yeah,
It
they're not
says
counted. They're not counted at all.
so. Then how are you getting Sunday then?
I just explained that, sister.
Yeah, but
After the last Sabbath of the year, the 28th of the 12th month, scroll, Dead Sea Scrolls, 4Q324D, it's going to explain this, along with 4Q394, it's going to explain after that last Sabbath of the year, the 28th of the 12th month, a day is added. And then the week count continues.
But it says in scripture not to add to the days nor dislodge them or force them out of their configuration.
We're not.
So where, but
We're
you are,
not.
you're adding a day.
How are we doing that? We're lighting up to the markers in the heavens.
You just said that. Yeah,
So
no,
it's not adding if that's how it's meant to be. What was added and taken away is our modern timekeeping of things,
but
the
it says to
Gregorian
not
calendar.
dislodge, it says not to dislodge the day. To dislodge means to force out of order.
Yeah, and that's what we are not doing because that is the order Yahuwah made. What forced it out of order is this Gregorian timekeeping of things.
Right, right. So the Gregorian timepiece is a construct of man, where our calendar is based off of the luminaries. There's a big difference. If if you don't believe Genesis 1, that the luminaries determine the calendar, then this isn't the group for you.
Now, please don't put words of in my mouth. I never said that. I'm following the stars, sun, and moon.
Okay,
I'm
how?
asking questions. You're very combative, but
How
you're not.
how do
You're very
how do you
combative.
how do you follow the
I
how
don't think
do you follow the sun, the stars, and the moon?
How do I follow the sun, stars, and the moon?
Yeah.
The same way that you guys do, according to the scriptures.
So what determines your year?
Is the equinox and then the equilux.
Okay, but then you move the equinox day to fit a Wednesday,
No,
fourth day.
no, I don't. I'm just doing a lot of calculations, but you're ready to already shut down my throat.
Well, I'm just saying that.
Thanks, Jermaine. Thanks, Jermaine. I'm just asking some questions as to why it's Sunday, and you're jumping down my throat, mate.
Well, we got
nobody's jumping. No,
preconceived text messages already, so
Well, that's nice. That's nice.
yeah,
Fruit,
we
your fruit is all over the place, mate. I'm
so
just
nobody's
asking
jumping
questions.
down anybody's throat. I think you're getting a little combative here. So we're
actually
allowed.
that's where
Oh,
I
I'm
jump
not.
in. Yeah.
I was actually talking to you, Jeremy, and she jumped in
All
and
right,
started
talk to
throwing
Jeremy.
stuff.
Go ahead.
That's fine because she can explain as well. She knows
I'm
the
just,
calendar as well.
I'm just trying to
But,
understand if there is a particular
so
detail that I'm missing. Humbly,
yeah, the Dead Sea Scrolls. So Like I said at the beginning of our discussion here, I'll actually share it in the chat right now. I
Yeah,
literally went over all of this.
yeah. Are you able to send me the video again on the with the text of the Dead Sea Scrolls? Because I've gone through Enoch about 10 times, and I don't think I've seen a divided day before. And I'm not saying that you haven't. I'm just saying I haven't seen it. I haven't seen it at all.
Enoch is tampered with, and we see chapter 82 is not even complete. That's some of
Mm,
the proof we went over last week. We see in the Dead Sea Scrolls that after that last Sabbath, a day is added. We see this is going to keep creation week in line with the day 4, which is going to start the counting of our months.
okay. Can I just write? Sorry. Can I just quickly write down the section of that? I'm just gonna. I've got pen and paper. Can you just give me that? Yeah.
Yes, it's 4Q324D.
Okay.
So specifically the location we're discussing is going to be column 5, verses 9 and 10.
Yeah.
And then column 6, verse 1 is going to complete the sentence there, what it's saying.
Okay.
So in column 5, verse 10, we're going to see the word vacate, which means a lot of text is mentioned there.
Yeah.
So that's where we go to 4Q394. It's also called 4QMMT. That fragment's going to explain to us what is missing where it says vacate there in 324D. And
Hmm.
that's where it's telling us after this last Sabbath on the 28th and the 12th month,
Yeah.
where there is a day that is added. The year is complete in the 364 days.
Okay. Okay. All right. Thanks, brother. I appreciate your time. I know I've been going over this for a few days, man. Just trying
And
to figure it out.
no, and also, we went over some of the history with I have all the sources cited in my article, but we go through the history on how Saturday was day 1 of an 8-day week at the time of Messiah, and how
Yeah.
they kept it. They had a quote unquote 7-day week, but their 8th day wasn't counted. Kind of
Yeah.
like exactly what we're talking about here, because they had to get it from somewhere. So
Yeah. Usually there's like a with the scripture, there's usually like already a pre shadowing to prepare. So that will be interesting. All right. Thanks, mate. I
not,
appreciate
and that's why we see a lot of allusions in scriptures to it, because
it.
we
Mm,
know the Masoretic, the Pharisees had their grubby little hands all over it and twisted a lot of things up, removed a lot of things.
yeah.
But we still see allusions to this, such as, Job's birthday, when he's talking about, let it not be counted in the number of days, let it not be counted in the counting of a year, things like that.
I think I've
And
seen that.
it would be similar to like someone born on the leap year in modern times. Like
Yeah.
there's not always a 29th of February. So kind of a
The
similar thing to go there,
Yeah. The video about the how the Sunday moves. I think I've got that from you already. So all good. All right. Thanks, brother. Sorry to take your time up. I just needed some clarification there.
Yeah, no worries. And don't take offense to anybody. Some of us just have some
No,
passion.
I'm I'm the
That's
most offended person in the world. But we all got to be humble. If we're not humble, where are we going? We've got to be humble. Anyway, thanks, guys. I appreciate your time.
yeah, for sure. Thank you. Yeah, and so that's the thing as well. So the head of the first month is going to also be a Sabbath day as well. So that's also what we're going to see right there in Amos. Most translations say on the new moon. It's not saying new moon, it's saying on the head of the month, meaning the head of the 4 seasonal months is going to be just like a 7th-day Sabbath. Like no work, resting, all of that. So it's not going to be 8 days between Sabbaths because we have these 4 head of month festivals as well. And not only that, it's not a day that's counted in time. So it's a day we experience, yes, but it's not actually counted in the numbering of anything. Kind of similar to the number 0 now. Like we know numerology, it goes 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Like that's really all the numbers that exist. But when we count, we don't start counting at 0, we start counting at 1. Same thing as here. It's like a 0 day in that kind of sense. So we're not starting our count on that day. It's just that divider that's going to separate the yearly counts. Just like we see the dividers for each season. The 7th day is going to divide each week. He divides light from darkness. Just kind of that same concept. And yeah, so like with the why is our Sabbath on Sunday this year, that's just how it works because of the divider day, because we have 365 days in between vernal equinoxes. It's also the same amount of time as the sun's analemma. So we physically experience 365 days in the yearly course of the sun. So just like Jubilees 2 is saying, we're going to have a sign that's going to show us when our 7th-day Sabbath is going to be. That sign is the sign of the sun, which is going to be that straight line shadow or that straight line sunbeam, the same one that would light up the tabernacle and the temple, like the Holy of Holies right in the center there. Yeah, yeah.
I was kind of Googling, you know, uh, I just think it's odd the way people, the way we, the way we name things, right? And so when you look at like the definition of Saturn, obviously it's named after like, their pagan god Saturn. Um, but like his like job was timekeeping. So it's interesting, when we think about, Sabbath used to be Saturday for us, right? And we always thought it was like the seventh day because, creation week had never been interrupted and stuff like that. Again, like how we kept time, like that was like the last of our, like the last day of the week for us. And Saturn is the keeper of time. And then you have Sunday, you know, and then everything it's just odd because I just never thought I would be talking about time so much. And they get us to worry about every second and every minute of the day, and yet when they spoke in time talk, in the Bible, it was always by like hours of the day, and then the distinction between day and night, and then obviously weeks and months, but they didn't talk in terms of seconds or minutes like that. We're so worried about you know not we're so worried, but yet at the same time not worried enough about what we put our time in and how we distinguish our time. And they're the ones that are obsessed with time, right? And we were kind of taught to just oh, this is just how it goes. But again, just us worrying about like the seconds and minutes now, compared to how they kept time then, I think it's just odd.
Yeah, yeah. And yeah, it can be difficult to understand, um, because some people are used to that Saturday Sabbath, or whatever day Sabbath they're accustomed to. Because I know there's, like we discussed earlier, some people think it's always on a Wednesday. Some people think it's always on a Thursday, things like that. But we see through scriptures, Yah has divisions of things, and it's not always going to be on a man-made planetary week. They didn't have a man-made planetary week back then. This is why we had the signs in the heavens to show us, when to begin these counts, when to end them, and things like that. And yeah, like everybody here can also attest, there's so many confirmations each and every week that we get from Yahuwah himself, from many people, and some even new people that join. They confirm all of this, and it's truly amazing. And all praise to the Most High. And really, it's the only method that makes sense, and it will line up perpetually, always. There's no having to add 7 days every so many years. There's no having to add a 13th month that's not found. None of these things. It just lines up, just like Yahuwah shows us it's supposed to. So it can be tough getting past that, certain day of a week always being a Sabbath. It's not the case. That's not what we're seeing with the signs and the markers in the heavens. Like, we don't see that he gives us signs and then we have to wait until a Wednesday. And we don't get signs and see that, oh, wait till the next day. No, it says it's always when signs happen, it's going to happen right then and there. So he's not going to give us a sign and then wait a day, or wait however many days it takes to get to a Wednesday. That's just not, it's not biblical. It's not scriptural. And, yes, this year, our Sabbath is lining up to the Gregorian Sunday, but next year is going to be on the Gregorian Monday. The year after that's Gregorian Tuesday.
So
It's not always
Jeremy,
on. Yeah, go ahead.
sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. So I know you said that in Messiah's time, the Saturday used to be the eighth day of the week. Do we know when did the naming of the days of the week begin? Was that like in Babylonian times? Like, did they also name their days of the week? Because we know they have like month names, obviously. But when
Yeah,
did the naming of the days of the week start? Because you
it did.
you will not see that in scripture.
Yeah, no, it because that all originally stemmed from Babylon, and the Greek adopted that and replaced the Babylonian god names with their god names. And so that's where the Seleucid Empire, they were pushing the Babylonian moon calendar. They followed the same calendar as Babylon. And then Rome came in and they had their crazy calendars going on. Saturday was like day one of an 8-day week. And those days were just named after the Greek gods because, Rome stems from Greece. And then, that's where we get our modern, Sunday through Saturday names, literally named after Greek gods and Roman gods. And it all stems from Babylon right there.
Yeah, it definitely, again, it especially since we were born in the Gregorian calendar, days of the weeks and everything, it does get very confusing. But yeah, we do have to remember that Yah doesn't care about what man has named. his days, right? He has clean days and he has unclean days. And that's all we need to worry about. So that we're making sure we're not doing his Sabbath on an unclean day, and that we are aligning um, up with the times that he has sanctified for us to meet him at. So, it's hard not to look and see the Gregorian day names because they're there in our faces. And unfortunately, it's kind of like the only thing we do have to kind of like to relate to everybody else, because everybody does know these day names. But um, you know, like Sunday right now, Sunday is the seventh day, it's Shabbat, and then tomorrow will be the first day of the week. So it is tough, but we have to remember that we're here. We all woke up in this season, and it's just because it's a pagan Sunday or a pagan Monday or a pagan Tuesday. There's not another day of the week that doesn't have a pagan name that we can go by. Sorry, I didn't mean to ramble.
You're right, because Yahuwah didn't name the days for a purpose. They were numbered, and it's because the week is always divided each year. So, no, you're right, for sure. Yeah, we see Rome, they just twisted everything up and contorted it.
Yeah, because Jeremy, I think it was you. I was explaining to a brother today that uh, our birthdays. You know, I think I looked back on my calendar all the way back to August 27th, 1993, and I was born on a Friday. And yet my birthday each year isn't always going to be on a Friday. So does that mean, you know what I mean? Like my birthday, it
Yeah,
travels.
good.
I'm not on the same, it's not on the same day of the week. And that's crazy, because if it were truly a set calendar and not cycling through, then my day of birth would always be on that day, and it's not.
Yeah, exactly. It is on Yahuwah's calendar, though.
Right. Because yeah, and again, especially in Jubilees, which is why I love the book so much, is he gives us the days that a lot of his, most faithful followers um, were born on. And it really does give you kind of like an indication of, like, these days were important days. His people were being born. It's beautiful. And so it kind of like helps you realize a little better that the Gregorian is just, it's there to what we have to reference to, just like they had pagan names that they referenced in the Bible because it's what they were in at that time too, which is crazy to think, because then you start to realize that there are different calendars kind of going about at the same time, and yet they're keeping time differently, but yet they're there together at that very moment, keeping a different time, but still experiencing it
Yeah, true.
together, which is weird.
Yeah, no, it really is.
You could almost say that's kind of like a what, like a Mandela effect, or am I putting that in the wrong kind of term there?
It's a Hasatan effect.
Right, a Hasatan effect, a mirage. Let's say a mirage, kind of like a mirage.
What you're seeing here is a mirage.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the thing too, is he hides the truth right in plain sight, or the truth is hidden right in plain sight. And I think that's a game he plays, like, just to dangle it in front of everybody's face. Like we see St. Patty's Day. It's always March 17th, which is always, day one. Just interesting stuff.
So I missed the earlier call, Jeremy. Did you go over stuff in? Well, you always go over important stuff. I meant like, did you go over anything like new? I know I can always go back and listen, and I will. I just
Really? So I went over the calendar a little bit and then showed some of the stuff in the Dead Sea Scrolls, basically showing what the Tekufla is, how it's the solstices and the equinoxes. And then I read the whole section in the article about how Saturday was, day one of an 8-day week back in Rome. So it cannot possibly be the held Sabbath of creation held by Rome or the synagogue of Satan. There's no way. But basically, I was presenting that, and the sister YAHUAH came on, and she was asking same questions, which is what I literally presented earlier. But yeah, I'm not sure if she thinks that Saturday is always a Sabbath or Wednesday is always a Sabbath.
No, I don't. I don't think that Saturday is the Sabbath. Yahuwah revealed that to me a few months ago. So just clear that up. I'm just trying to figure out. I've got a brother he's found that Wednesday being was words when and day, and it comes root word Hevadomos. It means completion, and when you go to the root origins, it says hepta, which is 7. If root
Hey,
origins,
sister, I'm
then
sorry.
it
I'm really
says
not trying to
hepta.
interrupt you, but you're very choppy. I'm not trying to interrupt
Breaking
you.
up
I
a
just want to
lot.
hear you. You're just a little choppy.
Oh, is it? Am I breaking up or something?
Yeah, you're breaking up a little bit, and I just want to hear what you're saying. I didn't know if you were in a bad spot in your house or.
Oh yeah, no, I live in a old 1940s building, so yeah, no, let me move because like I really want to hear what you guys think about it, and I'm only doing it because I've been speaking with my other brother, Yason, which Katrina knows Yason. I think they had a bit of an altercation the other day or something or other. Anyway, so what what I showed him over a year ago was this. He believes the Shabbat is Wednesday, and that's everyone is going to figure out their own thing, and hopefully we can all eventually come into one mind. 1 second. Can you hear me now?
I think so, yeah.
Can you hear me now?
I think so.
Hello?
We
Yep,
spoke
I,
with
I think we can hear you.
Can you hear me now? I can't hear anything.
Yeah, we can hear you. We can hear you.
Let
Can you hear?
me get out and I'll.
I don't think she could hear us.
yeah, maybe bad.
I can hear you. I'm back now. I can
Oh,
hear
okay.
you.
Okay, yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, so this is what I found over a year ago. And I'm happy to share it because I'm trying to get clarity myself, humbly, obviously. So when you go to the word Wednesday, in concordances, it comes up with the word hebedomos, which means seven. This is what I do know. I know that the Romans and the Greeks, they wanted to cover up the true Shabbat seventh day because they messed everything up. Anyway, when you go to hebedomos, which is the seventh, derived from the Greek hepta, it corresponds with a Hebrew entry of H7637, which is sebai. Sorry for the noise. My kids they're trying to clean up the house. It's horrible. So sebai, which sebi or sebai. So then when you go to sebi or seba, which means seven, there's two entries. There's H7637 and H7651. Anywho, when no, I'm on the phone. Yeah. All right, I'm on the phone with people, yo. Anyway, then you go to Hepta, and it shows Seba. No, man, I'm on the. Okay. All right, I'm on the phone. There's a lot of people listening to you right now. Don't. Seba, and then, jeez, and then when you go to Seba, so when you look up that is 7651, so H7651 Seba, it means the primitive number 7, sacred one, implications a week, by the implications of a week being a completion of a week. And it's just it's not confusing, but I'm trying to figure out as to why this is coming up. I don't know if you've encountered this before, Jeremy. If you can impart some wisdom.
So about the sevens?
Yeah, about like so looking at the seventh day itself, like with the word corresponding of Wednesday.
So you said it corresponds with the word Wednesday?
Yeah.
Well, Wednesday actually has to do with what is it? One of those Roman gods. I think I'd have to double check again. Sorry, I'm driving to pick up my son, but
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The days of the pagan named days, they are after pagan ones. There are some people that call Wednesday Weddings Day. Just trying to find some substantiation other than what I found there with the word itself. It's saying it's derived from the Greek and the Hebrew, connecting both, meaning seven, sebi. When you go deeper into the word sebi, it comes and correlates with the word Shabbat. So that's just incredible findings. I just don't know.
well, we also have to remember, Satan imitates; he cannot create. So all these languages, the base language is going to be the Greek or the Hebrew, Yahuwah's original language. So all of our language is going to be based off that. So
Yeah, but why?
what we have found though is, there was no named days. There was no, Saturday to Sunday in the creation week account at all. It was just, we were told, you know, light is going to start the day count. Then we get evening and then morning. That's going to end the day count. And then light is going to begin the next day count. And evening and the morning, and so forth and so on. That's like our creation week standard, basically. So what we're going to see is just that accounting of time before the counting of days. So the counting of days is basically when time started to be counted. That started on day 1, week of creation, because it's the counting of days.
There, so I've heard other people's evaluation on the first day being itself, saying that the first day's light is an eternal light. It's not, that it's not the sun, moon, and stars light according to the Hebrew, but the
Not
fourth.
the moon and stars. It is the eternal light, and that is His word as Messiah.
But the
Light,
serpents,
I believe. It wasn't the sun, moon, and stars yet, because we see that is day 4. So the light created on day 1 is, I believe that was Messiah himself right there.
Yeah, actually, I got that from the Ruach as well. But it does make a distinction in the Hebrew between the first light that came when Yahuwah said, "Let there be light," to the fourth day of the luminaries. It does show a distinction between two different types of light.
Yeah. That's because He says, "Let there be light," and then He called that light Yom, or day. And then the evening He called Layla. Then the night is Chosek. Then the morning is Boker. But we only see Yom, Layla, and Boker there. Like the Chosek is only at the in there in verse 1.
So, which light is based on the calendar that you guys have? Is it from the fourth day, or sun, moon, and stars, or is it the first day?
It's fourth day, because that's when the timekeeping began. Because He said, "Let there be lights in the expanse."
Yeah.
So, like, the expanse, like in this realm that we are living in, as flesh and flesh
Yeah,
and spirit.
exactly. Yeah.
Because when heaven and earth pass away, there's going to be no need for the sun or moon, and
That's right.
that's when we get our spiritual bodies, right? So
That,
we won't need the sun and moon anymore, because we'll be able to behold
yeah.
Yah in all His glory.
Yeah, he says that. Yeah. That we won't need the sun, moon, and stars. His kabod will be the light for the new earth. So that's going to be awesome. Um, yeah. All right. Thanks, sister.
Oh, sorry.
Not all good.
Can I chime in here?
Oh, go ahead.
Okay, so Jeremy, I don't know if you had a chance to see the calendar that I forwarded to Katrina by way of that spreadsheet I was telling you about. This is Mishael. So what Yahuwah, or the woman who was just speaking, who goes by the name, I think Yahuwah is on her icon. So 1 and 4 is actually the prophetic calendar, because it was when He divided the light and the day, when He divided the light and the darkness, when He said, "Let there be light," He divided that, and it was established. So there's a division there, but to hold its boundaries, He had to put in what we call the transitions, the evening and the morning. And when that was done, it completed the first day. So the number 1 was assigned to that day. And just like Katrina has shown, when you look at the count of the cycle, you see 4 and 1, they would be in the same overlap. Because when you're counting in the calendar, you count from 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 is the median, the middle, the straight line of the menorah. But then if you're going to count after that to make it equal, you would make that 1, and then you'd count 2, 3, 4, and there's your Shabbat, which is why our Shabbat lands on day 4 at the head of the month, the first Chodesh, first month. So
Wow.
those are the actual two anchors, the equalizers of time. So the calculation of time was put in by on the fourth day so that we can begin the count, which is a full circle, which is 360 days. And then those 4 divider days, they get they're divided in the season, so you can separate the one season from the next. But the count of them, the reckoning of them in the year, if you don't put it at the very end, coming after the 360, then you will not have an equation that is equal. Because if you have an equation and you have, let's say, 7 on the left, and I have 4 on the right-hand side, what is going to make that equal? Another addition of 3 days. So it's a numbers thing and how numbers are assigned to the day, if that makes
Yeah.
sense.
No, yeah, and that's why he says
Mhm.
they are the 4 divider days in the season, but when you're counting the prophetic year, it's 360 days, so they're not reckoned in that counting. So that's why
Exactly. So
that's
in the
why they're going.
calendar,
Sorry.
yeah, in the calendar that I forwarded to Katrina, that I had shown by removing all those added days by the world, all those 31st days, which sends you in a different trajectory of count. When they're removed, you will actually see that the Shabbat, which is on day 20, on 28th of the last month of month 12, you would assign that the number 1. And so then you go 1, 2, 3, 4, and on the 4th, you would start your count again, and then it all keeps everything anchored to the Shabbat being equals 6 days plus 1, 6 days plus 1, 6 days plus 1, and the 4th being the divider, 3 on one side and 3 on the other side.
I would love to see this calendar, Michelle. Is it in the group?
No, I only forwarded it to Katrina because I didn't know how to, like, I want to be honorable to Jeremy's platform and to the people who are fronting this and whatever. I never come into anybody's platform and say, listen to me. So I'll introduce it to, I'd say, the ones who are sort of heading the flock or feeding the flock or whatever. But if anybody wants to reach me directly in asking for it, of course, by all means, I will offer to present it as well. But in this platform, I don't want to disrespect or dishonor anybody who I would consider would be a head or a leader or the administrator.
No, I appreciate that. I believe just like we were talking about last week, that you have the prophetic calendar, and we're explaining the yearly calendar, but it's all the same exact day.
Jeremy, it's
It
a
is.
little hard to hear you. Just a little bit. I don't know about
Sorry,
anybody else. Sorry.
can you hear me better?
Sorry.
Oh boy.
I mean, it's. Can
If
anybody
you give
else
me a
hear
few
him?
minutes.
I
Sorry,
think Jeremy,
I
his
didn't know if
son.
anybody else could hear him.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
picking up stuff. Sorry, it's a little bit loud. But can you hear me better?
I think so.
So so what you found is the prophetic year, and it's lining up with the same dates that we found, which is the 364-day yearly count, and they
Yeah.
coincide. It's literally the same calendar. It says
Yep.
you have the prophetic year down, and we have like the yearly count, but it's the same
Yeah.
exact date, which it's truly amazing.
It is. But one thing that is still, troublesome is there's still this perception that people have that as if we are observing a solar cycle of 365.25 days, and we don't. Every time the world counts 365, it's added 6 hours, a sixth part of time. Time is equivalent in 18 parts. That's why Enoch says, like at the height of summer, you've got 12 parts day, 6 parts night. And the reverse of that, in the winter, you have 12 parts night, 6 parts day. And the equalizers, you have 9 and 9. And so when people, when the world is adding that extra day count to the calendar, a circuit is closed. You cannot add or take away from a circuit, you will break it. So a circuit is enclosed. So when they do add it, though, they are pushing, they're moving time, or the perception of time. And because we are also still fixated on the digital clock or whatever, these hours allotted, divided into 12 hours day, 12 hours night, and the UTC zones and things like that, it really messes with our actual perception of time. We don't truly see the sun until it's at its noon point, what would be called solar noon. But if you reckon that with your watch or any digital or any form of a man's clock, it will not say precisely 12 noon. It will be 12:28 or 11 something, depending on how you're being daylight savings, jumping and falling back. And there's so much mess that is trying to distort the actual truth of time and the reckoning of time. And so when you add that 365th day to the first year, you've added 6 hours. You add that to the next cycle of year of the second year, you've now added 12. When you add that to the third reckoning of the cycle of the year, you've now added 18. The reason why you have to add a leap year is because you have to make the equation return back to equal balance. And that's what people are not recognizing.
Oh yeah, that's kind of what Sister Marissa had found. We were talking about this morning, and we were discussing that maybe there is no 366 day, just
No.
the perception of the Gregorian calendar being off.
Jeremy, you're really low. I can't hear you.
Hey, give me a few minutes, and you'll probably be able to hear me better. It's because I'm going down the freeway.
Katrina, so you're on here. Did you have a chance to see what I had forwarded to you?
I actually have not. I'm actually waiting for a conversation for you to walk me through it.
Oh, wonderful. Well,
Yeah, I'm not a very good visual learner. I'm a visual plus auditory. I need to be able to speak it out while I'm going over it. So, yeah, we did agree upon catching up, meeting up. I'm just waiting on you to be able to go over it all.
okay.
If
All
that's
right.
okay.
Oh, sure. You know what? I was waiting on you. I thought you wanted to have some time to absorb what you were seeing, and then was going to reach out to me, and then we would have the discussion. But now that I know that you're waiting on
No,
me,
let's do this. Let's do this. Let's do it. ASAP.
Perfect. Wonderful. Yeah. And I had a wonderful conversation with some of my sisters this morning before we had another group fellow Shabbat fellowship. And I spent about 2 hours trying to show them. They've added what they call a null day and a void day, so that they are trying to factor in that 365th and the 366th day. And I'm like, it's not needed. The only reason why you're putting it on one side of YAHUAH's calendar is because you're trying to equate it to to be in balance with what the world is incorrectly doing. You don't need to do those days, but I didn't manage to get through to them. I mean, lovely sisters, and they are the ones that actually presented me the fact that I had to unhinge from the Gregorian calendar entirely. So we left it in a good, amicable, loving space. Praise Yah. But they couldn't.
Wonderful.
Yeah, they just couldn't see it. So I can only hope that I can maybe present it a little bit better.
Oh, please be patient with us. I'm willing to correct. I'm willing to learn. I mean, you're saying that there is no 365th day.
No, there's not, and there's not a need for a leap year either. 366, and
Okay, so are you going by how do you start your year then? Again.
I started when the sun would be in the fourth gate, like coming out of the for the first in the fourth gate.
How do you measure the gates though?
Well, now that I have the count, I'm counting, but it was measured by people who were agreeing for this year, saying it was by their straight line.
Is that Laura Nicholson or Laura? Oh gosh, what's her name? Laura.
No, Faith Child, and even Aaron from Remnant of the Lights. All the people who have been doing the actual straight line shadow. Yeah. So, based on that setting of the day, and when YAHUAH showed me that, well, because it was reset in 2024, that we've started the reset correction, but it's only going to get pushed now that we're going on a new cycle, and a 365th day is going to be added.
I'm so lost. So you just said that I think that you said something, and then you told me that you were following Aaron Ryan and all the rest, but
yeah, no, I'm not following Sister Ryan. She's got a lot of wonderful gems, but she believes we are on a globe. I disagree.
Yeah, right.
She's very fixed on some of her doctrine, which I don't agree with. But she does have a lot of gems too. So I'm not going by anybody. All I was agreeing to was with their measurement of their database showing the straight line shadow.
So what does the straight line shadow mean for you?
That's day one.
So the March 20th is day one of the year.
That was the day one.
Correct. So 364 days later will be what?
364 days. Well, you have to count it to 360. 360 takes you to, on Yah's calendar, it'll take you just the day before the 28th Shabbat of the last month. The 28th Shabbat would be counted 1, then the next day, the 29th, 2, the next day, 30 would be 3, the next day would be the 4, and then what would be, by the world standard, given 365, that's removed, and that you put number 1 in there because you're starting a new cycle. You're not continuing a count. So in essence,
I just don't see Yah doing that. He's all about division. I can't see him putting a 364 and then boom, 1. It's not even his character.
There's 360 days, and then the next day is 1.
But the equal lux, the equal day, equal night is a whole different ballgame than the equal lux, correct?
So when you see where the placement is, the sign, the oat of the dividers to divide the start of the year from the 7th month, because those are where all of his feasts land. So you want to make sure you're landing correctly to honor his feast seasons, his moedim. So when they are going through and you have that divider day, that is what is going to divide the calendar. Like, you have these two fixed anchors for the equation, and what's taking place in this in a cyclical fashion between those, they have to match. Like, if you take a circle, you know it's divided into 360 degrees, and you have 180, that would be the divider point, right?
Okay. I'm not good
Like,
with math. So 100,
you know,
okay, so 180 would be, yeah, the divider point. Okay, yes.
yeah. And this is what is so comical. Like, you want to talk about YAHUAH taking the least likely candidates and for his glory, using them, because I tell you, my father in his grave would be laughing, seeing that I'm doing anything to do with math. He was a math teacher, and I hated math. I struggled with math. I could not
Oh, I'm
understand
the
it.
worst. I am the worst. I hate writing. Everyone wants me to start writing stuff, and I'm like, I hate writing. I hate math. I don't want to do any of it. In my head, I'm dyslexic. Well, I'm trying not to be, but things come in backwards because I believe that the way that Babylon does it, from right to left and left to blah, blah, I think that I'm all messed up. But anyway, keep going.
Okay, so in a circle, circles are really beautiful objects. My goodness, what you can make out of a circle when you put functions to numbers, it's remarkable. But so you have a circle, and to equally divide it into degrees, it would be equally divided into 360, which is why exactly his calendar is 360. So if you have a circle and you are assigning numbers to that circle, your starting base point would be 0. You're starting at a line of 0. The next number would be 1. Then you got 2, 3, 4, 5, and this is all equally spaced. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. You don't go past that and assign 11, or sorry, 10 and 11. That 0, you add a 1, and now that becomes 10. So every number that ever exists can be found from 0 to 9. Every single number. So when you're adding, when you're not working within the circle, but you are moving forward the circle, you are adding 10, or the 1 to the 0 to make it 10, you've added that 1. And then you're going on, then you're going 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. You've now added 2 to that 0. So you've got 2 in your pocket. Now you got to go 21, 22, 23, 24, and so on and so forth. And every time that you are adding a number to that base 0, you are adding to it. When you're counting in a renewed format, if you're going in a linear format, it's a different math. But he's cyclical. The calendar count is cyclical. It's a cycle. It's a circuit, and you cannot add or break a circuit. You can't.
That's kind of what I was describing earlier. It's the numbers we have from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That's all the numbers that exist, truly.
Yep.
I'm just fascinated how you have the same exact dates as everything we do. And so surely it's a prophetic year versus the full yearly count. I don't know if you can hear me too well, sorry.
It's a bit light. You're a
It's
bit
very
quiet.
hard. Very hard to
Yeah.
hear you.
I'll be home in like a few minutes, so I'll be able to talk there.
That's no problem. Actually, now that I
So
have
today is, sorry.
Christine, I just wanted to ask you a quick question, Katrina. That the video that you had shared on Facebook with that brother about the prophetic, or what he's claiming is going to occur on September 23 of this year, which was a false flag, or ever he identified it in 2017. I
Right.
had some sisters who are familiar with the Mazzaroth, and they said that the moon is not under Virgo's feet at that date. Do you know who has vetted that or confirmed that what he said is true?
I have not confirmed it. I shared it to consider it, to
Yeah.
test it, but we have, as a group, deemed him to be breaking Deuteronomy 13.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
I was hoping that Marissa was going to be on because I understand that she's got a lot of understanding with the stars. She's been gifted with the Mazzaroth or the stars and recognizing different signs and stuff. So I was hoping that maybe she was present so that I could
She's
ask
usually
her.
in. She's usually in. She's in the middle of a storm right now, so she probably doesn't
Oh,
have. She probably doesn't have service. Let me check with her.
but you were saying the brother did not pass the Deuteronomy 13 test. So in
No,
other words,
he
been
was all
disqualified.
over with his calendar. Like he was going off on the moon and he was saying things that just didn't go through scripture.
Ah, okay. All right. Well, that makes sense then. Yeah, because my sisters are like, there's nothing under her feet. There's no moon present under her feet at all. So they were rejecting it, and I just thought I would bring it to your attention.
That's great because I was just testing. I was looking. Some of the things were lining up to our calendar, even though he wasn't on our calendar. So I was like, well, I'll take a look at it. But
Mhm.
I didn't look as deeply because I don't really understand the moon as much as Marissa does.
Well, and
One of
she's
the
Mhm.
still trying to
things,
figure out the stars too,
yeah, if I could
with the eclipse.
interject something, this is Ellie. I finally made it on. Um, One of the things that really bothered me was the 13th one being Venus. And
Mm.
that's somehow supposed to represent Christ or
Yeah,
Messiah.
that
That,
was a trigger for me too.
yeah, that hit my spirit like there's
Yeah.
a problem here.
I
Yeah.
think
And it's because he wants to try to fit in a 13th month too. Because he's on the moon calendar. So that's why.
Mm.
Yeah, but it being Venus? Wow.
I think
Yeah,
Rome.
I agree with that. I agree with that. It was a little off in my spirit as well. I was putting it out there just to test, but I think Jeremy and Marissa and I kind of deemed him as
You got
Deuteronomy
some
13.
responses, girl, if you were looking for him.
No, it's good. It's good. That's what I want. I want us to all come together and test it because it's very important. If there's a prophecy that's coming out, if he's setting dates, well, we got to look at it. Absolutely. We have to
I
look
think
at it. But if he's not aligning to what we've been shown, it's
He
yeah.
was also calling on some stuff that is from the wrong side. And in spirit, it hit my spirit wrong. So I was glad that that you put it out there and we were able to discuss it.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, the things, it was weird because they were lining up to our calendar. All of the dates were like Shabbats. They were I think it was the autumn equinox, and it was the Day of Trumpets, and he didn't know that. And I was like, why is this all lining up to our calendar? So I was trying to talk to him and discuss with him about the calendar, and he was obviously very obstinate. He was, emotions rather than scripture. So he was basing his calendar off of Psalms 104. And that was it.
Well,
I was like, okay.
There's going to be people who are not going to test it. Like, I agree, Katrina. We should test it. And you brought it to our attention for testing, and we were the Bereans that went and tested it out, and it wasn't right. And so we're discarding it. But how many people, like, I really believe that these are the days where we are like entering the time of the tribulation. Like, I feel that in my bones.
I don't
And
even know if it's the tribulation at this point. I think that we are in deception and that we are waiting for final judgment.
Well, something big, something more than what previous years have been doing. That's for sure.
We all feel it in our spirit that something is coming, for sure.
We're being motivated and moved and positioned and coming together. And then there's also a lot of division. So you're the wheat from the chaff and sifting, and there's a whole bunch going on.
It's wonderful, and it's enlightening, and it's truly remarkable. But I want to understand what you're saying, because I do believe that you're seeing the prophetic year, and Jeremy could better explain that. He sees it better than I can at this point.
Michelle,
Mm-hmm.
Do you think an event is going to happen and then something shifts back to a 360 degree because a door is removed? And I say 4.
I'm not sure what you mean by a shift because it's returned to 360.
How do you link the 364 and the 360 together?
Because the actual calendar, like everything that's fixed in his times, they are within the 360 days. But
I agree, but I want to see what you're saying.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that would come from presenting my spreadsheet that I had done.
Okay.
Yeah, because to explain it, like it's not going to land like it would more as a visual. And even when it was visual before, my sisters, who are still so much clinging to a 365.25 solar, as they call it, a solar cycle, they're not seeing it, even though they're adding days on YAHUAH's side in order to counter what the enemy's doing on the world calendar side. They don't need to do that, but they're holding to it. So I said, hey, we're arriving at the same place, so we'll part in peace, because no sense in getting upset with one another. We're still on the proper times for keeping his Shabbats, his Modim and everything. So let's just be at peace.
So your Shabbat was today as well.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That's crazy that it's still lining up.
Yeah.
I want to understand too.
Yeah, I believe she's seeing, and Sean as well. Sean has the same things. They're seeing the prophetic year laid out. We're seeing the actual year laid out.
Actually, I think Sean is on a Saturday Sabbath.
Fascinating. Oh, you said he was on the same day. you was talking about the same information Sister Michelle here was presenting as well. He just had that menorah diagram that brought even more visuals to it. That's why when I heard her speaking about it, I was like, hey, that's the same thing he was thinking about. And all of our days are lining up exactly the same. So there's something to it.
Yeah, Michelle, I'd like to hear what you got to say. I've been looking at 362, but yet I know it's 364. I know that.
You at 362?
No. I said I've been looking at 360, not 362 as in a number, but 360
Oh,
looking at it too.
Like TOO.
ah, got
Yeah,
it.
no, but I've been looking at 362, and I know that circle can't be broken. I
Nope,
know killer. I know it cannot be broken. Everything
correct.
is in a circle pattern, but yet I know it's 364 also. So
Yep.
I would like to understand where you're coming from, and maybe I can input some stuff that I've been trying to figure out myself.
Is
Yeah,
that the
wonderful. I've been
Fibonacci?
calling out for people to help. I put a message out and I got blocked and banned and
Is that the
No,
Fibonacci sequence also?
unless we're just outright just vicious, I think it's hey, let's all just reason together. My gosh, everybody's
agreed.
something. You can't say the hand of the foot. I don't need you. Can't do it. It's going to take everybody to find it out.
Yeah,
If
exactly.
Agreed.
we got it all together, you better just go off and stand in the corner by yourself.
As far as Sean goes, it's similar, but it's not the same as from what
I'm
I'm
not.
hearing from
I'm not
from
sure who Sean is.
Sean, and what I heard from this sister. There are similarities, but they're not exactly the same. So for that,
Oh, interesting. I thought he was explaining the same thing. It's been a while since we discussed with him. We're trying to schedule a time. Maybe we can all, me, Katrina, Sean, and Shael, we can all get on the phone, see what we all got, and present it here at some point.
Yeah, that'd be wonderful. Like I'm a very flexible woman because I've been blessed to not have to like an occupation that requires like times like set times for me to go for occupation or anything. So I can work within whatever your guys'
Yeah.
schedule is.
Well, Katrina is the secretary, so.
We'll touch base then. I'll reach out to her tomorrow.
Yeah, definitely. Let's come together on this.
Okay. And I've been in error in the past. Like my goodness, last year I was presented with information from a sister who like she showed me that we would be out of seasons with the Moedim if we did not advance a week, and like that I was recognizable. That was obvious to me, and all the people who chose to not do that last year were out of season this year, but that's because we were still fixated on keeping this Saturn's Day. And so I repented, like, and it was the same sister that she repented when she got chastised by Yahuwah, shown that we have to unhinge. She presented it to me. I forgave her when she asked for the forgiveness. I said, I'm accountable. You showed me the work. I'm accountable for my choice. I chose to follow. That's fine. But now this is just so undeniable. Like it's but I'm just trying to show that humility is not beyond me. Like if I am going to be shown that I am in error, I will repent, and I will ask, I will say I'm in error.
Yeah. So,
that's a very safe place, sister.
yeah, absolutely. I just got home, so. I was just reading the chat here a little bit. So yeah, that's what we're talking about here. So the year.
Uh-oh. Where'd you go, Jeremy?
We lost Jeremy. I need the recipe. 1 second, I'm on a video chat. I gotta put on pause.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Hello, hello.
Yes, we can hear you.
Awesome. Sorry, my signal is so wacky here. But um, so to answer the question there in chat that I see, yes, the yearly cycle is the 30 30 31 30 30 31 because the four seasonal dividers. But what the sister here is presenting is the prophetic yearly cycle. So like Enoch says, when we're counting in a year, we don't count those 4 days. So it's going to be a 360 day. But the interesting thing is both her and Sean are actually on the same exact dates that we have as well with their calculations that they found. So that's what I was saying as well. I'm pretty sure her and Sean have the same thing. I could be mistaken, but I do remember Sean was saying he's on the same dates as us.
They have the same thing as far as starting a 360-day count at the first day of the first month, which is the fourth day. When the sun goes in the fourth gate, and they start there. He starts his count there as well.
So is he's on the same Sabbath as us, correct? Or am I wrong?
No, he does not. He has a different pattern, and he says that the pattern that he has is the only way to make the menorah pattern. So that's something that really has to be looked at.
Well, yeah, because what we've shown is the menorah pattern as well.
Yeah, because I think he's still on Saturday.
His it has the pattern of the lunar Sabbaths. He's plugged into the solar year. And that's what makes the menorah pattern. I was trying to understand it. I was very blessed to be at the feast with him for that period of time. And we talked about this because, of course, I'm familiar with the lunar pattern, and it's a very familiar pattern for me. So understanding what he's doing with the Sabbaths and the menorah pattern and the 360 days and all that, it was interesting. But you asked specifically if he had the same Sabbaths, and he does not. And his Sabbaths are going to shift from solar month to solar month.
Oh, so wait, he's changing the Sabbath every month?
Right. That's the
Oh,
way he's understanding it.
I didn't get that part.
I know you didn't. That's why I spoke up.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, thank you, Ellie. Yeah, I do remember him showing me something not that long ago, and his calendar. And I was like, wait, why does you guys' Sabbath change every month? Because I also thought maybe he was lunar, but then I was like, no, but I know he's not. So like him changing it every month, like I can't remember why he said he does it, but yeah.
Well, it's because he has not found. He has found the pattern.
Oh, is he going back to three? He thinks he has to go back to 360, right, Ellie?
Yeah, he's going straight 360 from from the first day, but he it's like he understands the first few days of creation. There are things that don't make sense to me in what he's doing, and since they don't make enough sense, I don't have them down well enough to explain them. Once they made sense to me, I'd be able to explain them better. But
Right.
there's like a thing that goes on in my head. Well, wait a minute, why are you doing that when this says that, and and all that? So I don't have it down well enough to explain it. That's why it's good to talk to him about it.
I think
Yeah,
what
yeah.
the problem with what he's doing, if he's seeing the prophetic calendar, this is what was troubling my sisters as well, because every marker where the oat of the sign of the divider day should be, it lands, but they would it would be, for example, on like, how it's the count is 30 30 31, that one being that extra divider day. It is seen, it is experienced, it has happened. All you're simply doing is you're just taking that number of the count and you're putting it at, so the reckoning, the accounting of it, the equation of it has to be added to the end. But it still happens. So you continue, your anchors are the Shabbats. Like you will go 6 days plus 1, 6 days plus 1. That should not change based on, because the on September 22nd, where that would land on the Shabbat, the fourth Shabbat of the 7th month, when you do the equation properly with the 360, that September 22nd date moves to the 31st of the 6th month. But you can't, you have to still move forward with time, but when you count it, it has to be counted outside of it, because it's like Shavuot, for example. Or let's talk about Jubilees. So a Jubilee count is 49 times 49, but it's a 50th year. If you counted that 50th year and that 50th year didn't become your first count 1 on the new cycle, you would be projecting into the future off a day, and that would collectively add to time.
Yeah, really fascinating. But my
I
apologies.
don't understand how you cannot plant and plant on the same year.
How you can what?
We're commanded to not plant during the Jubilee year. On the years that we're commanded to plant, we have responsibilities. If we count the Jubilee year as a planting year when we're not planting, or if we're planting on the Jubilee year when we're commanded not to plant, how does that work?
Well, you have two years of rest, because you're also coming in on the Shemitah. So you have the Shemitah rest. So technically, when you're coming up to a Jubilee year, you should be experiencing 2 days of non-planting, or 2 cycles of non-planting.
Correct. However,
So he provides time.
we're commanded to plant each of the 6 years before the 7th year. So I
Right.
don't understand how it doubles up like that.
Well,
It's
the 7th year would be the Shemitah, and then the next year would be the Jubilee.
Yeah.
Not every Shemitah. I'm saying on the 49th Shemitah.
Mm-hmm.
Or not 49th, on the 7th Shemitah.
So
And then
are
a
you
Jubilee.
saying that the 49th year is the 50th year?
No, the next year after that would be, if you were to continue your count, it would be 50, but because you're renewing your count, it becomes 1.
Correct.
So how do you plant and not plant the same year? How do you plant for 6 years and not plant the 7th year if you didn't plant the first year?
Because you'll have enough for 2 years.
He'll give the increase.
Yes.
Okay, I need diagrams or something. I still need to see how the 50th year is not the 50th year, how it is the first year. If you understand what I'm saying.
It's an overlap, right? Is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah, yeah.
Like they correlate together. So it's the 50th count,
Yeah,
but
it's the
also
same that I was mentioning when I first entered the conversation, where the 4 and the 1 are the overlaps too. Those are the two anchors.
Yes.
Okay, but if we look at Jubilees, if we look at Enoch and we look at the 31st days that separate each season, they're days that are counted but are not counted to the year. And
Yeah,
so
yeah.
if we have those days that are counted but they're not counted to the year, then we can't say, or at least I don't make sense of saying, oh, well, that is, well, anyway, I'm trying to understand, and maybe part of what's sticking in my mind is this. I read something years ago when I was trying to work out the Jubilees issue, and what was said, what was taught, was that before they went into Babylon, they were, now I don't know if they always did, but they were to honor that Jubilee year separate. When they came back, they were in captivity, and whoever was ruling over them said, okay, we'll do 1 year without tithes, but we're not going to do 2. And so they started double counting the Jubilee as the first year. That's me. I didn't have any idea. I don't have any idea how I would have vetted that, because I didn't know enough back then. But it does bring up a question for me, and I would like to understand if this is another tradition that is so far back that we don't question it, and it came about because of political ideas, or if this is actually the way it is. That's where my head's at with this comment, question, so on.
Miss Shael.
I don't have enough studies pertaining to even the rest years, the Shemitah, the Jubilees. I have only begun my studies on that very, very recently, since because believing that we are really close to, very big. I'm believing it's the timing of Yahushua's return. I don't know if there's some people who are believing that. There's people claiming this little season. I just know something big is in this space of time, and so I'm going deeper into, because I have a homestead and I've just been recently brought out here, so I was wanting to align with whatever Shemitah years were coming based on the land of where they were. But then a sister said, well, because the way things are happening, your Shemitah year is going to be coming up and the Jubilee's coming up. So you've got 2 years of non-planting. I went, I didn't realize that.
Have you looked in this little season? I'm just curious.
Sorry, what?
Have you looked into the little season?
No, I haven't. I've heard arguments about it, but some of the points that have been brought up for me haven't aligned with my current comprehension, my current understanding.
Oh,
So I haven't
I highly
aligned with
recommend. Don't stop. Just keep digging, because for me, what Messiah said right before he died, nailed it for me. I just don't see him waiting another 2,000 years. It had to have happened very soon because he literally said it's going to happen very soon. And yeah, that solidified it for me. And knowing that everything is backwards, upside down, that there's like hundreds of years missing from our timeline. The Dark Ages is not really what they say it was. Like when you actually look into it, there's no way that these buildings could have been built by mere mortals.
Oh,
And
there's a for sure a cover,
yeah,
and there's a really great documentary called Patterns of Evidence, or Evidence of Patterns, or Patterns of Evidence, I think it is. And he proves that the excavation of what they were claiming could not be the Hebrews and the Exodus because of the time, the Dark Ages not matching, or the rulership not matching.
yeah,
It was the documentary proven out that no, again, they shifted time, just like they was like it says he wants to, change times and seasons, right? So we
definitely.
are being so mixed up.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
season of deception, the Statue of Liberty and the chains being broken off of her feet is not like it's screaming. It's screaming to me saying, "Hey, Satan is let loose. We are here."
Well,
It's
I'd
just
like to say something really quick. The one who thinks to change times and laws is the wrong one. The one that Daniel, he said that our Abba, he changes the times and seasons. So just for clarity, those two terms, one is our Abbas and the other one is the enemy's. Times and laws is what the enemy tries to change.
yeah,
Yeah.
and to go along with that, uh, I believe I said it earlier, but there's a lot of people pushing Satan's little season that really don't have a strong foundation. So they have a lot of new age information mixed in with it, which I think is done on purpose. But
I agree.
yeah, so if you have a firm foundation in scriptures and you look into it and you can see where it does match up here, and there's actually a lot of evidence to support that we could be post millennial reign. But then,
Could I ask this? So the proof, like, what was he not supposed to have rulership so that all the nations would have to come up and worship? And if we didn't make the pilgrimage up to
should we bring up the camp tonight?
the
Yeah.
Hey, it's too garbled. It's too garbled.
can you mute?
I was saying that
Should we bring up the
the
tent?
New Jerusalem was where Messiah was supposed to rule from in the kingdom, and that the nations would have to come up to worship on the set days. And if we don't, then we would not see rain and not have the fruit of the land.
Miss Shael, hold on one second.
You want to sleep in a tent tonight?
Hey, Katrina.
Katrina, can you mute?
Sorry, sweetie.
Sorry.
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 Miss
Okay.
Shael, sorry. Can you please repeat that? Sorry.
Sure. So where it's been kind of a sticking point for me is the evidence of the rulership of him ruling for the millennium years, because I don't see that there's any pilgrimages taking going up to receive the Torah, to receive the teaching and the instruction from the one who's to come and rule with the rod iron. And I don't, and there's still rain upon the earth. And so there's just some factors that I don't see the evidence of saying he's in fact set the kingdom to rule here for 1,000 years.
So, if I may,
So, go ahead.
sorry, Jeremy.
Go ahead.
Again, like, I don't know if you were here earlier. I am actually trying to compile a whole bunch of scriptures to see if this fits. because I feel it, but I know that feelings, what we feel can kind of be misled. So I want proof to go with my feeling. But I have watched many studies, and this lady, her name is Madeline. She has a YouTube channel called Leaving Babylon, and she proves a lot of historical things. She is on a lunar calendar, but she proves out so many gaps in history, okay? And so you're absolutely right. The pilgrimage to keep the Feast of Tabernacles was required. We see that in Scripture. And that is exactly what did happen. The nations that refused to go, because I think there are some, I don't know what you think on this, but there are some that think that when the millennial reign happened, they think sin was completely eradicated. And what happened was sin wasn't eradicated. The adversary was just taken out of the way. And then we were left with the same choice that we had in the garden before we chose sin. We were left with just our own free will. We didn't have the accuser. We had our free will, and that was it. Nothing left to deceive us. It was either we were gonna go or we weren't. We were gonna let him in or we weren't. And so there were nations that she proved that did not receive any rain on their land whatsoever. And those places are now completely barren. They're desert. They're desolate, basically. And so, again, like with our history, we're not taught that. Like, we weren't even taught the feast in Christianity. But it is there, and it is a lot. And again, like, just rightly dividing the truth. But there is historical evidence that shows that places that used to be very well, green and lush and fruitful. You have one example is, so this guy was talking about the Mayans, and the Mayans were a vast civilization, and they had knowledge, they had their own calendar system too, and they were very big. And then all of a sudden they're just gone. No explanation whatsoever. In their writings, they depicted that rain just stopped coming, and they had to leave. Basically, their hat, like right where they were, because rain was not coming to them. So, again, if you're interested, I can share Madeline's information. She's very gentle about it. She's got a ton of stuff that she goes through. I'm still going through all of her videos because, again, I'm trying to understand. But it does prove that there was a pilgrimage, and some people speculate that's what the blips, or the what's the other word for them, was a means of travel. And again, when we're thinking about Yahushua's millennial reign, I mean, what they were able to travel with, I can only imagine. But it was possible, and there was people that did come to the Feast of Tabernacles, and yeah, don't know if that helped at all.
I am open to testing it more. Like, I have lended my ear for a short few videos and stuff that have been presented, but for me, the evidence, or what I thought would be the evidence of him reigning, wasn't there, and so I didn't go any further with it. I have a purpose here. We all have a purpose, and we all have gifts, and we all have a purpose, and the one that he's been pressing on me over the past 2 months, like with just visions. I've never been one to receive visions before, and all of a sudden he's just laying visions on me almost every night. And it's been about this calendar. So now that I feel I've got to a point where I can at least present it, I've withheld from presenting it because I just didn't think I could have enough way to describe it. or answer any questions. But now that I feel I'm more comfortable there, I can, give some more time to at least testing out things. I welcome your sharing information, and I will be accountable for testing.
Yeah, no, that's like the same story for us. We had a few sisters that had dreams and visions, like, and that's what led to us getting more into the calendar and figuring it out. And there is, like they like to say, there's not a lot of evidence for it, but when you actually dig into history and look at things, you'll see that there was a time in history where the stars fell from the sky. You see the
Mm-hmm.
time in history, where the sun just went dark. Things like Miranda was just speaking about, there was no rain, so civilizations would just disappear, and those, lush areas are now deserts. And, I'm still searching it out myself. I'm not on one side or the other. I can see it from both sides. I guess I'm like the middle ground man for it because,
One
I
thing
was,
that's coming to my mind.
what's that?
As I was reading, I was one thing that's coming to my mind as I'm hearing you guys speak, is scripture in Enoch where he's talking about the ninth and the 10th day. I mean, we know a day to YAHUAH is 1,000 years, or sorry, 1,000 years to us is a day to him. So I'm like, where's this 9 and 10? Like, I don't get that. So maybe, like I said, there are some things that I can kind of see that, like you said, kind of the middle going, okay, there may be something here. I'm not completely disregarding it, and I'm not welcoming the information and confirming that this is true. But I am certainly open to hearing.
Wait, are you talking about the ninth and 10th week?
Yeah, that's what I was just
Yes.
saying. That's what you
Oh
were
my
just talking about.
gosh! I am
Like, what's
geeking
that
out
all
right
about?
now. I am geeking out right now. Ah! Sorry.
Yeah,
I
we
just
were
came
just
across that in
talking
Enoch
about.
today.
Yeah, we were
Oh,
just talking about that. I think right before you came on, we were
Oh my
just talking about
gosh.
y'all's timing's perfect.
Ah!
there it is,
What
Miranda.
have you guys talked about, or what was the discussion?
Well, I got on because I hadn't been on all day, and I love my family on here. And I told Katrina earlier because she was like, Miranda, you were wanting to present something, and I've been so busy, and I was like, I know, I've been wanting to get into Enoch and Esdras because I know it's dripping with stuff about, possible millennial reign, because there's all this talk and you don't understand where it fits, and I do not understand Revelation. I feel like it's kind of like all over the place. So I was like, okay, this morning I was like, I'm going to sit here and I'm going to read about the apocalypse weeks, right, of Enoch. And
Mm-hmm.
I see, like, right before chapter 22, which doesn't fit according to God culture. It's not a part of the 7 weeks, but it's apparently like he has like a headline that says like the last 3 weeks of tribulation, and yet it matches with like the rest of the apocalypse weeks, which I almost want to call them ages, because obviously it's not like a week, it's not like 7 days. I feel like it's more like closer to like 1,000-year breaking up time period from creation to
Mm-hmm.
the very last day of condemnation, right? Which is the great white throne judgment, and that's when sin is completely eradicated. And I was asking Jeremy, I was like, I don't understand like why it's not a part of the apocalypse weeks, because Christianity teaches us that maybe creation to now is like about 7,000 years, but if we're looking at time is controlled by 12 hours in a day or 12 months in a year. Like we keep thinking in weeks, but
Actually, it's not controlled by 12 hours in a day. It's 18 parts. So on the height of solstice or summer, you'll have 12 parts day and 6 parts night, and the reverse for the winter season. But it's the transitional periods as well that we've assigned it when Yahusha said, "Is there not 12 hours in the day?" I think he was talking at that moment in the season of summer where he was saying, "Is there not 12 parts of the day?"
Right, right. Yeah,
That's where
I agree. But essentially kind of like 12 is more of like a yearly completion number though. Like, and then you think about, the days and everything and the longest days, which, winter is a shorter season. So, but yeah, I get what you're saying. But anyways, there's this part where it goes into like a prophetic like 8th week and then a 9th week and then the 10th week,
Mhm.
the 10th week is cut off to the 7th part. And then that's when eternal judgment is. And I was telling everybody earlier, I was like, it's weird that this part is sectioned out and it's not a part of apparently the apocalypse of weeks, but that's just what the God culture is saying. We have this random part about the 8th week being in here, and it sounds so much like the millennial reign and then the little season.
Yeah, that's really amazing that it got brought up just like that again. So
Yeah,
when I
something to investigate here.
yeah, when I see that, I know that's Yahuwah saying you need to look into this more. So
Well, one
Yep.
of the things that's significant to me with all that, and I've been considering, we have a different timeline than Usher and what we've been taught with the Masoretic text. And not only historically, not only scripturally, we have historically, it was understood to be about 5,500 years since creation by those who were looking at the scriptures that were available before Rabbi Akiva's redaction.
yeah,
And so I have been thinking about, well, when Enoch was talking about weeks and the timeline, they've shifted things, and what and how much of that has been messed with, and where are we really, and if perhaps we can understand better if we yeah, well, we're just praying for wisdom and the Father to open things up. That's all. But if we don't have this, like, oh yeah, we're just getting to the 6,000th, and that may not be true at all.
yeah.
Especially since it was 5,500 around 100 AD, according to the way that they tell us time worked.
That's the thing too. Yeah, is I because we're seeing in Enoch, Enoch is giving us, the true time, which is, 18 parts in a day versus, modern Gregorian timekeeping is, the 24 hours in a day.
Oh, and Sean has this thing, the Sean that you guys talk to. He says, if you divide the day into 18 parts, our Messiah died not at 3 p.m., but in the evening at the time the Passover lamb was supposed to be slain.
Yeah, yeah, that ninth hour. So, yeah, no, I remember him speaking about that, and that's what made me think. And I was like, you know what? Maybe we should be going off, Enochian timekeeping, the 18 parts in a day. And then,
Absolutely.
yeah, and
We're being transformed by the renewing of our minds. And who would have thought the one who would think to change times and laws would so screw up our thinking that we can't even think? Yeah, it's
yeah,
time.
that's the thing is we're so ingrained with Babylon and that confusion that trying to figure out Yahuwah's true time is confusing to us, even though it shouldn't be. But yeah,
Well,
I think it's
10 too
important
is
to,
like that's a really peculiar number too, because again, we were talking about how like in the circle you've got the 0 through 9, and then what's coming to mind also is the scriptures where you've got 5 virgins who had the oil and the 5 who didn't. So you've got the number 10 there. And there's the number 10 is just in so many places that it can't, like, we're always fixating on this 7, 8, but what, like, 10's everywhere.
Yeah,
I agree.
there's more than just, 7. There's more than just 4.
Hallelujah.
Yeah, it's very interesting, and
I'm so
I
happy.
think that, yeah, yeah. No, I think that's part of the confusion they infiltrate with Babylon as well, is with their calculations of numerology. So we have their thinking of things, whereas Yahuwah has his thinking. So we're trying to get back on track with Yahuwah. And
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think it
because
was
seven's
Katrina.
important.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
Seven's important, but it's not the only number.
yeah, precisely.
Yeah.
Can't get to 7 without the other numbers. You can't, go beyond that
It's true.
without other numbers.
Yeah, yeah.
And Jeremy, what
And
was it not last week when you kind of shared, or when Libby was on and you were sharing how, or somebody was sharing about the birth of Jacob's sons and how there are 2 months where sons were not born, and that was on the 12th and the 2nd months, but the other 10 there was a son born.
yeah, yeah. And I think that was Libby who was explaining that. Yeah,
It's
very.
beautiful. That throws out the whole astrotheology in completely with, oh, one of his sons was born every month and all that. Hallelujah.
Right. Yeah, no, very, very fascinating for sure. And I think it was Katrina who shared a video the other day where, yeah, it was Katrina. It was this brother who's going through and he was tracking the Enochian time, like the Enochian parts of the day. And it was really fascinating. And he's basically on the same calendar we are as well. And
Could you put that in as a link to that in the chat?
yeah, let me see if I can find it again. It was the other day. Let me see if I can find it. But yeah, it was really fascinating.
The other thing that's fascinating is the fact that on a Jubilee, on the Day of Atonement, which is the 10th day of the 7th month, that's when it's supposed to be counted as the head of that Jubilee year. It's not the first
Correct.
day, it's the 10th day.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I've heard as well.
Right. You know what I really like about that 10? That 10th is when we choose our lamb in the spring as well.
Yeah.
Y'all, I'm gonna cry.
See, isn't it amazing how we all are contributing, and there's not an argument. There's not, I'm saying this is right, you're wrong. I just love this group that I'm been blessed to come into, because not that there was a lot of striving in other groups that I was in, but there did seem to be a little bit of prideful digging heels in with certain doctrines, and there just wasn't that flexibility to even present.
Well, we are by
Oh
no
yeah,
means
yeah.
perfect, but this is definitely like this group is definitely like we have to sharpen one another. And so yes, this group is
Yeah.
definitely more open-minded than most.
Yeah. We iron sharpening iron and just reasoning together through scriptures. We try not to name call or harass or, none of us is like I'm right and you're wrong. Sure, we have some disagreements here and there, but who doesn't really? But we're still echad and we come
All
together.
siblings do.
Yeah, yeah. And we just try
Yeah,
to
all
search these
siblings
things
have.
out. Yeah, we're all about truth
Yeah.
here, so.
Yeah, we just want to get to the bottom of everything. There's so much deception out there, and we just have to weed through it. And that's why I appreciate this group, is because we are all willing to do the work.
Yeah, Katrina, did you hear what Mishael just connected? Did you hear what she connected?
I actually was doing math with my daughters, so I didn't.
Katrina. So when I was talking about the 8th, 9th, and 10th apocalypse weeks from creation to all the way to the end, she was like, the only little thing that pops in my mind is the 9th and 10th day in Enoch. She did the same connection.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
I freaked out.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
See, that's why I love this group so much. Is because this is what it's all about. We come together. Oh, amazing.
Yeah, because she's like, yeah, I'm not really sold on the little season, but it makes me think about this part in Enoch that talks about the 9th and 10th day. And I was like, oh my gosh!
Right there! Right there!
Right there.
Stop right there. You got it. Oh, wow. Ugh. I love it. I love it. Oh, I love it.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to send you guys the pictures of what I have in my book, so that this is definitely something.
Yeah, for sure.
Please do. Now, unfortunately, I have to bid you all Shabbat Shalom. I gotta go. But yeah, I was about to do dishes, and Yah just put it on my heart to enter into this chat. And when I did, I heard some stuff, and I spoke, and wow. So
Oh, I can't wait to talk to you. I can't wait to have more of a conversation of, combing through what you've found and hoping to align everything up. I think Jeremy feels like, again, you have the prophetic year, and it's just one step closer to understanding the whole calendar. Or we could be off. I'm willing to be wrong. I mean, it seems way too perfect, all the confirmations that we do have, but I always reserve the right to be wrong on the calendar for sure. But we're getting so close. He wants us to keep looking, He set out
Oh,
this treasure.
yes.
He set out this beautiful treasure that we are all so hungry for. And that's what this group is about.
Yeah, absolutely.
Amen to
Seeking
that.
his will. Yeah, seeking his will, seeking all truth, getting the heck out of Babylon, getting one step closer to his presence and the kingdom, or forever.
Yeah.
Whichever one. I'm still on the fence as well as Jeremy. I'm leaning more towards the season of deception, but I do believe that we are way closer than what we think.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And yeah, you can.
Whatever age is ending, I think that age is ending soon.
Yeah,
So,
has to be.
Yes. Yes.
When you
all
have
right,
genetic
I'm going to just say
manipulation.
Shabbat Shalom.
Oh,
And
Shabbat Shalom.
I shall contact you tomorrow.
I can't wait.
All right. Bye, everyone.
All right, bye.
Bye.
Hello.
And yeah, she came in at the right time because
Right,
I was
it's all at the right time. I love
yeah.
it.
And
My gosh.
I don't know if YAHUAH is still in here, but yeah, I was trying to explain to her, and it was right at the time I was leaving to get my son. So I was trying to come up with it all from memory and get ready to go get my son and all that at the same time. So I hope I wasn't I didn't mean to come off snappy or anything. There's just the timing. So apologies if I sounded snappy while trying to explain it. I don't know if you're still in here. I don't think she is.
I think she left.
Yeah, it's okay. I'll send her a personal message. Just be like, hey, look, I wasn't meaning to be snappy, but if you want to walk through this, we can walk through it for sure. But yeah, it's all about coming together and getting these revelations, like what just happened now with Miranda. The same thing we were just discussing. Boom, there it is again.
It's always fun to have second witness.
Yeah, he wants us to know. He does.
Yes. I mean, I was poring over it this morning, right? And I was making so many underlines. And then I was like, I don't understand why this is here and not there. And so, man, and then for her to say that,
Wow.
like, for her to have such skepticism on it, like, I don't, and I get it, right? But for her to say that one, just what? That's sorry, I'm done.
That's it right there. That's Yahuwah, like, hey, look into it.
Yeah, keep going that way.
Yeah, I'm convinced. He doesn't have to show me anything else. I have to be like on it.
And yeah, there's that video I was mentioning earlier. I shared in chat. It's the one Katrina shared, and he's going off the Enochian timekeeping there towards the end. But he's showing, the different parts of the day in the 18 parts uh, at each equinox and solstice. It's pretty interesting. And then he shows also how the Qumran sundial also captured the equilux and the equinox. So just really fascinating information. And he's
Well,
got
that's pretty cool. It sounds like it would be a second witness.
That's a really good video. He gets a little bit wrong, but it's a really good video to just test.
Like he's got his divider day in the different spot. He has it on the day 3 or in between day 3 and 4. But really, besides that and just a couple other small things, it's really the same thing.
Super close. Really super close. He did his due diligence. Big time.
Yeah. And I think the video is a few years old too.
What was it, like 2 years? 1 year? 2 years? Yeah, something like that.
2
I don't
years,
know.
I believe.
I'm trying to figure out who this is, so I'm in the process of finding out. I will find you.
Yeah, it's interesting how we're finding more and more people that have found this calendar as well. And it's like, hey, he's got it too.
Yeah, and for her to like have a different way of doing it, but yet it's still ending up on the same time that we're doing it.
Crazy.
That's crazy.
That's nuts.
It kind of reminds me of the whole like, there's not just one way to get to 4, right? Because 2 plus 2 can equal 4, but
Yeah.
also 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of like the same thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's why I'm so fascinated and I want to talk to her more. So we can, because I truly
And that's why I
believe
want to talk to Sean more too, because I think he's on the same path just as much. Right?
Well, Ellie said that he kind of changes his Sabbath every month.
Oh gosh, no.
Right,
So it's
every
kinda
solar
like a
month. That's
lunar,
what makes that pattern. That's what makes that pattern. And we talked about a 7-day, like what we're doing here. And he's like, but that won't make the pattern with the thing, with the what do you call it? Menorah. And also we're going back through, and I asked him, in fact, Amanda's working on it, and I told him, okay, let's go back and make sure every date that's for sure a Sabbath day, and confirm it through the scriptures and see if we were reading something into it with the solar thing because of what we were taught or because of whatever. Let's make sure as solid every seventh-day Sabbath that we see in the scriptures. So that's something that we're working on, and we'll be comparing notes with each other.
Yeah,
Yeah,
nice.
that's great.
Yeah, no,
And
I
if
didn't
anybody
realize.
else is led to do that, please do it.
Oh yeah, that's really what we've been doing the whole time, or at least trying. We try to walk it all through scriptures. But yeah, I didn't realize he was changing it every month like that. And
Yeah, I don't see how that's possible.
yeah, and I saw the pattern he was
He
talking
had
about.
showed me months ago.
Oh, go
Sorry,
ahead.
Jeremy.
No, no worries. Go
No,
ahead.
he had him and our brother James and Ellie and another brother all came to my mom's house a few months ago. Well, I guess a little over a few months ago. And he was showing me his calendar. And that was back when I was honoring, only Saturday Sabbath. This is before we got together with all of you. And, I was. I wish I wish I could see it with fresher eyes. Like I wish I could see where he's coming from now, because I was still very much on the no, he would never disrupt his 7 day, 7 day creation. I was in that kind of mindset then when they were showing me that. So I was just kind of like, oh, well, I don't really believe you. So, I was kind of in that mindset then. But it was interesting. But yeah, it was like uh I do believe it changed like every month, and I had asked him why, and I think they said that they were testing out going back to a 360-day calendar only because they think that the flood added the 4 days, I think. And I used to think that too, but I had a hard time trying to understand also where it said to reconcile and follow the calendar back to a 360. So I wasn't sure, and I didn't have the questions. And again, like I said, fresh eyes now to get off the Gregorian, weekly
Yeah.
set. So, but that's how he explained it to me, because I'm pretty sure they're trying to go back to 360. I could be wrong
Yeah,
on that
well,
though.
we see in Enoch he's mentioning it's the 364 days, and that he's before the flood. So it wasn't the
Right,
flood that did any
right,
of that.
right. And I
Right.
and I and I just had forgotten that minor little detail there in Enoch.
Well,
Yeah, so
Sean's challenge is he said you're doing you're double counting 4 days, and that's what his concern is. So it's like he starts a 364-day count, and then he starts a 360-day count, and he makes a distinction between the solar Enoch, and he does a 360-day what he calls sacred calendar, and I still have yet to find a precedent scripturally for counting 360 days straight.
Right?
That now he thought that we'd be going that there was going to be a physical change, and this is what he was expressing to me. The first time he ever talked to me about it was a year and a half ago at around Sukkot time, and I didn't understand what he was doing. I kind of had an idea, and I kind of didn't get it. And then last fall, it was okay. I got my mind around it enough to be able to make him a year at a glance of what he told me for 2024. And I've been working on I've been working on a year at a glance for this, but I don't have that done yet. But I do have all the dates in, and you can just look at it, but I don't have the explanations because the Father's got me on a timeline to be able to share what's going on, with the folks that He's given me to grow with for close to 20 years. And so they are responding to Enoch. One lady was saying, well, she said, I don't know about Enoch. Last time I read it, I wasn't really impressed. And so I shared with her, I read to you guys before, considering the book of Enoch. And I said, now I'm on my last draft that I'm running by people for feedback. Would you like to read that? And so I got that sent to her today. She's just a really precious elder widow lady that has had, what it talks about, the widows that have washed people's feet and all that. That's been her heart for years. We love her. She's a really precious lady. I've been out to her place for feast. Her husband died within the last couple of years, and she's an elder, and so I'm praying that things will open up. And my brother, who's editing this Enoch paper with me, he said, well, and he's naming out the people that we should send it to. And I said, yeah, and I think I'll send it to Jeremy from Yahud. And he said, oh, that's that group you get on with. And I said, yep. And I'd like to get his feedback on it. So if that's okay with you, Jeremy, I can do that. And you can be like, put your input in on the draft before it actually comes to full. Let's send it out.
Yeah, absolutely. No problem. I can
All right.
definitely
Cool.
give it a look over for you. For
Don't mean
sure.
to
All right.
interrupt, but I just wanted to tell everybody good night and Shabbat Shalom.
Oh, hey, Miranda, was that Miranda?
Yeah,
Yeah. Would you like me to send you that too? Would you like to give me feedback on that Enoch paper?
for sure. Yeah,
Okay, cool. All
yeah.
right.
Have
Love
Can you
you.
send me
Good to
that
hear your
too?
voice again. Pardon?
Oh, Marissa would like it too.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't have Marissa, I don't have your contact information. Maybe you could text it or send it to me in a telegram.
Yeah, I can private message you in Telegram.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
All right, but love you all and good night.
All right. Good night, Miranda.
Much love. Shalom, sister. Thank you for joining. Yeah, awesome fellowship. And yeah, I'd be happy to go over that for you, sister.
All
Um,
right.
yeah, and in your Book of Jubilees one, you made more discoveries than I did and connections. So just
Hallelujah.
yeah, it's really awesome. So yeah, I'm definitely more than happy to help you out.
Okay, well, when
Mhm.
I get to be able to put that out as final draft, I'll send you one then, the Jubilees one then too.
Yeah, for sure. No worries.
That may take a little while longer though.
Yeah, no worries. No rush. It's better to take things slow. That way, it's correct. But yeah,
Hallelujah.
awesome. And yeah, that's what it takes coming together, and I get it. Some folks will have a problem, or not really a problem, but maybe they'll kind of reject it at first. But all you got to do is just really walk them through it. Be like, hey, look at all these correlations here and these connections here. And this one, literally, Enoch is talking about the Messiah himself as well. So not only is
That's
Messiah
right.
quoting Enoch, but Enoch's talking about the Messiah too. So I mean, it's just to just toss it out is like you really got to dig into it.
Well, one of the things that the Father blessed me with was I put every single passage where our Savior is referred to as the Son of Man in the Gospels in the New Testament so that people could check that out and understand that that's the title that he's referred to so many times in the book of Enoch as. And he
Yeah,
said that you do err not knowing the scriptures. They testify of me.
yeah,
That's,
exactly.
that's huge.
And that's the same thing in the Dead Sea Scrolls. I made those connections in the Dead Sea Scrolls because they call him the Son of Man also in the Dead Sea Scrolls. And they call him
Hallelujah.
the, yeah, call him the, they call him the Messiah of Aaron because when you actually look at, Joseph and Mary, Joseph was from David, but Mary was from Levi. And I think it was Eddie Chumney who did a study about it. I could be mistaken on who, but they did a good
Oh,
study showing how Messiah is actually from David and from Levi. And
I
that's
need
exactly,
that. I need that. That's a really, really new concept for me. I need to be able to understand it and see how it is verifiable. I mean, the only thing that I could see before with that was, well, Mary's cousin was married to a Levite priest, and the Levites were supposed to marry within their tribe. Um, and so Mary may have at least had some Levitical, but I believe that her line, her genealogy, was also through David, and it was through the side of David's line that was not cursed.
yeah. And another interesting fact is Zadok, the priest of David, was actually his cousin, but he was a Levitical priest. So there's that connection as well. So
Ooh, yeah, when you can, please inform me on that. Thank you.
yeah,
I
I'll
mean,
have to find
some
that
I can
video.
read. I do reading and praying and listening in my spirit and connecting a whole lot better than talking and hearing and like I, I like studies. I like them better than YouTubes. I like them better than conversations. I like but
Yeah,
that's me and that's my learning style.
no, yeah, no. I'll see if I can find something that's written up about it. I think it was Eddie Chumney that made a video about it. Could have been someone else, but it's been a while since I've seen it. But I'm pretty sure there's write-ups about it as well. But
Thank
it
you.
connects Messiah with both, the line of David and the line of Levi. Exactly what the Dead Sea Scrolls says as well about Messiah. And it's really fascinating once you get those really deep connections and you start seeing them. It's like, wow.
Hallelujah.
Do you remember that video, Katrina? Was it Eddie Chumney where he was showing how Messiah was from both David and Levi?
Yeah. Well, no, that was from Isaac. Isaac. Um, Assembly of the Way, maybe. Um,
Yeah, it's been a while.
his first name was Isaac.
Okay,
I'll
so it
have to.
wasn't.
I think Eddie Chumney goes there too. I think the video that I remember that blew me out of the water was from Isaac, from Assembly of the something. I do think Eddie goes there too, though.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he does. I remember. I think I do remember it was Eddie that I watched doing it.
There's a couple of videos that I honestly I need to find because I can't even access anymore for some reason. I have them saved and I literally cannot open them. They might have been deleted. But the one that I know that is really, really good is from, I'll try to find it. I have it somewhere saved.
Thank you
Yeah,
both.
maybe that's something I can dig into, and we can talk about it in our next fellowship for Sabbath.
Yeah. Yeah.
That sounds good.
So yeah, definitely we'll get you that information, sister.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just amazing the correlations and how deep they'll go,
Yeah.
especially with the New Testament and Messiah himself. And it's really fascinating. All this stuff blew my mind when I first discovered it. It was just like, wow. So yeah, we've been on, let's see, what do we got here? Another 3 hours. So 7, 7 hours so far. Because,
Um,
yeah, go ahead.
no, I was just going to say I had other responsibilities today, but it sure is wonderful hearing your voices now. And thank you for your prayers. Our Abba's leading.
Yeah, it's always good having you here, sister. We appreciate all your input. And yeah, you add a lot to the conversation. And you do have that input from, the lunar Sabbath keeping perspective. So you help in that aspect as well. Because, I don't understand it, but you do. So
Right?
we help each other in that way. It's really cool.
Yeah, it is iron sharpens iron, and we all I put this group together for the mere reason of getting down to the bottom of everything, testing it all, making sure that it lines up, and I love, love, love the interaction. That's my favorite part. And everyone coming up and bringing it beautiful. Because we all need, even when we think that we have it, we still have to keep questioning.
Well,
I
that's the
agree.
freedom. That's the freedom. And we can look at things and prayerfully consider them and say, oh, I had part of the picture, but it's bigger than I realized. And it's like we have to grow new brain trees to understand the new things. And so he brings
Yeah.
us just as far as he can with what we have. And then as we become more familiar with it, then he can give us more. But man, he's got to lead us he leads on tenderly for the children, just like Jacob said that he had to do for his family when Esau was trying to get him to come.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, for sure. We all need each other for that exact reason.
I don't know if I mentioned it before. I have been looking at the the names. I believe that all of the lunar references, the lunar months, I went through, and everywhere it's translated month that's related to lunation and what it's called. Yeah, I think I did reference this a little bit, but I didn't explain it much. I went back through and I looked at the Gezer calendar, and the Gezer calendar was used in Canaan, and it was related specifically the to the planting seasons and what's being planted, what's around them. And I looked at at like Ethanan and Bull and the names of these things that we're told are one thing, and that they're just concurrent specifically with the lunar, with the month. And I mean, those of us who had understood that they were always on a lunar calendar, that they had the names, and that they picked up those other names in Babylon, and those were Babylonian names for months in Chronicles. But
Yeah, and that's all the
they
time.
they
We
may
see.
or may not be Babylonian names for month, but I'll tell you what they are. They're descriptions of what's going on around in in the lunation that they're in.
Yeah, correct.
And
That's what I
so,
discovered as well.
mhm. And so this whole, I think we're given a lot of stories that will take us off the track of what was really going on. And so to have these things, I even looked up Elul, and Elul, that they are using as their lunar month, as a description of what's going on around. It's all agricultural. And I think that as the Father opens up, we may be able to develop this so that people can see the distinct differences through the scriptures and understand. Like, I was in a conversation with one of the brothers, and he was saying, well, they were using the lunar months in Egypt, and they were wrong. And I thought, well, I never thought of it that way, because I don't think he sees nearly the lunar connections that I do. Probably because he didn't have a good reason to. We pick up things that the Father like entrains our brain to pick up because we're familiar with it. And I don't know that they were using the Egyptian lunar calendar, because the Egyptians had a lunar and a solar calendar, and their solar calendar was 30 days a month. So there are correlations with timekeeping that I'm not sure that we know. The Egyptian uh, lunar month, I believe, was also planting season, and I'm not sure. I think the solar was civil and the lunar was sacred, but I'm not entirely sure, and I didn't have enough familiarity with the differences back when I studied it before. So now I am, oh, well, I'm remembering this and I'm remembering that, and it's doing this thing in my mind, and I'm like, Abba, you want me to get into that? Okay, you bring it across my path. You know the exact timing, and if you know what I mean. He's awesome.
Yeah, praise Yah. And that's a lot of the things I've discovered as well, is because when those lunar months or those lunations are mentioned, it's only after the Babylonian captivity. Like before that, there's no names of months except for like Aviv, the first month. Everything else is just numbered. The days of the week are numbered. There's no names. All of that just stems from Babylon. And it correlates with, the Gregorian calendar today that we see too. These same pagan god names are equated to these days of a week. And then they equate these things and like, oh yeah, the Saturday is the held creation day that we see in scriptures. Well, no, Rome and the synagogue of Hasatan are not going to preserve Yahuwah's Sabbath day. Like, plain and simple. And they're the ones that push it a lot. So once
You
you
know
realize that.
something?
Oh, go ahead. Yeah.
I wanted to tell you something that I really dug into that whole thing about the 8-day week and about it having the Roman 8-day week and about them assigning the pagan planetary uh names to this stuff. And I was not I was not able to prove that out. What I was able to prove out was that they did not have the lunar calendation on their civil calendar until 321 AD. I'm sorry, they did not have the lunar calendation on their civil calendar at all. They did not have the planetary week on their calendar until 321 AD. Before that, the pagan planetary week, because it officially became the Christian planetary week when they disconnected it from the solar calendation. I mean, from the lunar calendation and brought it into solar, and they made Sunday the first day and Saturday the last day. Before that, the populace was using a lunar, and you can see it, and you spoke about it, but it had a different name in your research than it did in mine. But it was found in the Baths of Titus, and that particular calendar was used by the common people. They had been using that lunar calendation for at least 200 years in Rome. And when it went solar, that was just civil. They weren't messing with that. So the people still had that, and they had the pegs, and they stuck it in there, and that's why they had 30, because you could have 29 or 30 days in a month. It was related to the moon, and they had the pagan planetary week across the top, and this is the actual only way that the main populace of the Jews were not what they did in Bethabara. The main populace of the Jews was doing lunar, and that's how come in 63 BC and in 63 BC, I'm trying to remember who it was, in 30 something BC, and they said that they wouldn't fight on the Sabbath days. Well, on Saturn's day, they were looking in, and it was Saturn's day. Well, their Saturn's day was the same day as the new moon day of the Hebrews. They counted to 7. Their seventh day of the week was Venus's day, and their first day of the next week was Saturn's day. But what the Jews were doing, which I know that's not probably the right word for it, but what they were doing, that new moon day, they started their day after. The day after was the first day of their week. So the first day of Roman week coincided with the seventh day of the Jewish week when they were doing the lunar calendar. And that's how that all dovetailed and fit together. And that's how before and after the Roman calendar changed, they still said that they were keeping Saturn's day, because Saturn's day was not on the Roman calendar. It was on the
So yeah,
populace calendar. It was on the common calendar, the populace calendar, not the civil calendar.
yeah, exactly. Because Rome basically started on it was a solely lunar calendar because it was the calendar that came from uh, Greece. because Greece was part of the Seleucid Empire of Antiochus, and they had adopted the Babylonian calendar way. They just replaced the Babylonian names with their Greek names. And then that kind of formed into, the Roman calendar, which it was still like this the strange lunar calendar, just like you were speaking about. And then the Jews, or, the usurpers, I should say, they had their lunar calendar as well, just like you were explaining. So there's really a whole jumble mess of calendars going on, all at the time of Messiah, because we have, the Zadok calendar as well was going on at that same time. And yeah, it wasn't until, Constantine in 321 AD, he was like, all right, no more of all this. We're just going to make it this 7-day week. That's when he put Sunday as, day one and their quote unquote day of rest, because Sol Invictus, the day of the sun.
Right. And you know what's so funny about that? It was to placate Mithraism. It wasn't,
Exactly.
and he was trying to placate. I mean, he was trying to bring his empire together, and boy, what a mess! Syncretism is awful.
Yeah, exactly. And that's all part of the deception now. And, that's what we're breaking through. Like, how'd you say it? Growing new brain stems or something?
Oh yeah, brain trees.
Yeah, brain trees. Yeah. I
Did
think that was the headaches we all experienced.
Did you know there's a lady named Caroline Leaf who's like a neuroscientist, and she gets into the brain, and she has pictures of when a person is all they're all negative, and the trees in their brains don't have any leaves. They just look like dead trees. And whenever they start changing their way of thinking, and I would say for us, she's a believing lady, I understand. Somebody lent me a book by her at one point, and she talks about how we grow new brain trees, how and the ones that are in light and love, they look like beautiful foliage and everything, and the other ones, we start making all of these things grow that way, and we stop the thinking that's done with those old dead trees, right? Anyway, it's just really neat. And so that's like growing new brain trees, and they're toward the light and the photosynthesis with the leaves and it all. I mean, it really does look like leaves even on these light trees.
Just want to jump in here. Is it possible, I don't know if anyone's done a study or if you know of a reasonably short video. I've got a couple of friends, or at least an older, beautiful lady. She's been in Torah pursuit for a few decades, and in the last few years she's come away from the whole crescent moon thing, and she's gone to full moon. And I sent a little snippet to her a few days ago, just on the calendar, but I haven't really got my head around all of this calendar yet. But I just sent her a short thing about how Saturday is highly likely not the Sabbath, because she's very much sticking to Saturday as the Sabbath. Anyway, whatever I sent her, albeit brief that it was, I sense that she's open to it. but she alluded to maybe that her husband might not quite be. So, and what's really interesting, her daughter or stepdaughter has gone to, I don't know, Zadok or Enoch, but anyway, similar journey anyway. So I suspect my dear friend will be open to this. But yeah, so basically I'm going to see her, fly up to see her in a couple of weeks' time. So I wouldn't mind, I don't want to bombard her with a load of stuff. I'm just feeling gently. So yeah, just basically, does someone have a really good either short teaching or a short study that they may have done that might help her, I don't know, mow over it or bring it to her husband?
Yeah, I should make one because a lot of people ask about that for a short study. Because I know all of our videos are like 4 hours long. So, so I really need to
Yeah,
do a short study about it.
yeah, I don't think they would listen to a 4-hour study. I certainly know my husband wouldn't, but I know, because you just want to put it all in, eh? But I don't know, maybe under 30 minutes if possible, just like a taster, you know, for people who are really not sure, you know, but maybe think there might be something else out there. Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to put it in something short though. But yeah, I'll look into that and see about doing just like a short presentation. I was thinking
Yeah.
about
I
also,
think I
oh,
think the
sorry.
thing is not to get, sorry, I think the key is just to do more of an overview and not to get too technical. And then it might be a case of, if you want to look more into this, click on this link. If you want to look more into this, click on that link. I don't know. Or even, yeah, like I say, even if someone's got a written summary, even like as regards to my friends now, maybe even just more the whole Saturday Sabbath thing is not necessarily the Sabbath. I don't know if someone's got
Yeah.
something on that.
Um, I know like Erin Ryan has a few short studies. She's off here and there, but it's the same calendar. She does shorter studies, but I'll try and put something together that just like not in so much detail. It's kind of hard for me to do because I like explaining things, so I'll have to like I'll have to find a way to just shorten that up and just lay out the basics and be like boom, 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 boom. You know, if you're interested in more, feel free to join our group or ask questions.
Yeah, something like that would be good if possible. Yeah, yeah. Oh, I'll pray about it. Maybe we'll just give you the wee download on how to do it.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you. No, I appreciate that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, make one even like an hour long. Yeah, I'll definitely see what I can do because, yeah, like I said, I'm used to getting into detail about everything, so just skimming over things is kind of like tough for me. But yeah, for sure. Thank you for praying. I'll pray about that as well because a lot of people have been asking about that, just a short breakdown of it. And I think it would also help for, newcomers as well, just to show like, hey, check out our quick video real quick, so you at least have an understanding. So yeah. No, I appreciate that. Maybe we can have Katrina make a short breakdown video. And yeah, there are others who have found the same calendar, and there's Ambassadors of Yah. He has a YouTube channel, but he's mostly on TikTok. He does a pretty good job at explaining the calendar. There's Erin Ryan. she's kind of off here and there, and you know her attitude. But hey, it's the same calendar, so it's a start, you know. But yeah, for sure, I'm going to definitely make one of those videos. You're like the 10th, 20th person that has asked, so that's Yahuwah telling me I need to make one. Yeah, thank you, Brother Lee, for joining. You know, we appreciate all your input as well. And, you know, we all need each other for that reason. You know, we may not all agree on everything, but at least we can come together and we can reason scriptures. And really, that's what everything's about.
Yes, sir. I'll tell you what, when Michelle came in and she was talking, boy, just a fire went off in me. I don't know what it was, but something happened. I don't even know who she is, but something happened.
Yeah, yeah. No, I think she's definitely on.
Yeah, yeah. I've been looking at 360. I know it's 364, but I'm looking at 360. And yeah, a lot of things are starting to make sense. But we'll all come to an understanding soon. I believe it. And I've always believed and said years ago in 2014, before he comes, everybody's going to get his people will get the calendar. Then he's coming.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yep. I thought that's going to be the last thing that happens before he comes.
Yeah, and it's really fascinating.
Yeah.
You know, he figured out the same exact date, but with a different method.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Sure. Sure.
Got the same thing. Yeah, it's wild.
Yeah. Yeah.
Here's Marissa again. Shalom.
Yeah.
Shalom.
Pray
Anyway,
everything's
thanks a lot. I appreciate it.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you, brother. No problem.
Yeah.
Yeah,
May
that sister.
I'm
Oh, go
sorry.
ahead.
May I ask who T and NZ is? I think I just heard her voice, but I
Yes, Tamara from New
Tamara.
Zealand. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
So T and Z is Tamara in New Zealand. I get it.
Yeah, correct. That's me.
Makes sense. Yeah, that's really awesome. You know, we have a lot of folks from New Zealand and Australia in here. A lot of us coming together
Where are they
like-minded.
all? Because I don't know them. I wish I knew where they were in New Zealand. I don't know any.
Yeah, there's quite a few actually that have come in here and from New Zealand. I think who else? Who else was it? I know there's a couple others in here from New Zealand.
Well, Jermaine. Oh no, I might have them mixed up. Never mind. She's in Australia. My mind is doing funny stuff with all that. I mean, it's all down under, right? No offense.
Right?
Yeah, Australia's our big brother, I guess, or our cousins, whatever.
Yeah, something of that nature, huh? Yeah, no, that's really awesome. Like, and then we have folks from the UK, we have folks from Italy, folks from Canada, the US, all over. It's really awesome. You guys are really down under out there in New Zealand, huh? No, I just think it's amazing, all of us coming together from all across this flat plain.
Well, yeah. So supposedly we're pretty close to Antarctica. So, that's another thing in itself, isn't it?
I know. That's what I was just about to say. You guys are supposedly pretty close to Antarctica there. So,
Yeah, well, we've actually got a jumping off base from here. The Americans fly to a city near me and they fly in and out from Christchurch down to Antarctica from us. So, interesting.
yeah, definitely interesting. Yeah, I always ask, does it rain upside down on you guys over there? Because, they say we're on a spinning ball. So,
I don't know.
Funny,
On
Jeremy.
a spinning ball, I can't even figure out how it would rain straight down.
sorry, my phone's freaking out. I got knocked off for a minute. The fragments after Enoch 82, it's here, I'll share the link again for you.
Yeah, thank you. I think Katrina shared it with me, and it was back on April 5th. And so I'm like sitting there waiting for the messages to load, and they won't load. So then I scrolled all the way back, and it won't load past April 6th. So I'm like, come on, I need it.
Let me find it here. I thought I had it in here. Oh, here it is. I found it.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's on I believe it's in between page like 290 and 297, somewhere around there, if I remember correctly. But it shows right at the top, the fragments and the correlation to the chapter in Enoch. And then on that last one, it says fragments after Enoch 82:20. And then it kind of goes, you can see where it's going into fall, and then it goes into winter. And then it describes more of those leaders of the stars again, but it's so fragmented out, it doesn't show their names, and it's just really fragmented and hard to put it all together, you know. But it's still proof that Enoch 82 was for sure missing half of its chapters, or at least half of the seasons. And yeah, I think it was last week's discussion. I showed all that evidence on screen as well. I think I still have the screenshots. I can send them to you here. My phone's getting pretty hot from being on for like 8 hours, so it starts freaking out.
Marathons.
Yeah, that and here in Arizona, it's a desert, so it just gets hot, and then the phone it gets hot as well. So then it starts acting weird when it's hot.
You know something? I act weird when I'm hot too.
Yeah, I think we all do. Well, uh, if anybody else has, or does anybody else have any questions or anything they'd like to talk about? 'Cause if not, I was thinking about ending it here. And yeah, if anybody has any questions, feel free to ask. Uh, and we can schedule, if you need help walking through it, we can like schedule a time to talk through it over the phone or what have you as well. Just let Katrina know all that. She's the secretary. Don't forget to start the reading. Yeah, no, I'm planning on doing a reading of my article, probably just like a chapter at a time, like I said, so that there'll only be like 15, 20 videos, so you can
What
find the
article is
chapter.
that?
The one I put together.
You're going to like read it onto a YouTube or something?
Yeah, just on my YouTube channel. So I was thinking about just doing like a chapter at a time, basically, and then put like Proof for the Sons of Zadok, chapter one, chapter two, chapter three, and so forth, with different videos, just so
Oh,
I can,
that would be good.
yeah, so it'd be easy to listen to. Like, if you don't have time to read, you can listen to it.
Yeah,
And
I have brethren that like to listen better than they like to read.
yeah, that as well. But yeah, thanks everybody for joining this evening. I appreciate everybody's input. We're all important and we're all family here. So yeah, thank you all and praise Yahuwah for bringing us all together.
Hallelujah.
So with that, I think we're gonna end it for this week, and then we'll meet at the same time, same place next Sabbath. So until then, you guys all have a blessed rest of your evening or your day, wherever you are, and blessed rest of your week. And shalom,
Hallelujah.
much love. Thank you all for joining.